in India, we used to have the MasterCard and Visa card, right? Now we have Rupee card. Rupee is like rupiah. Rupiah is like currency, right? So we have Rupee card. So we are clearing. So just because after this whole invasion, the whole event happened in Russia and this thing, so people are shifting. I mean, why we should follow Master and Visa card? So the new world order is coming. You can see the whole events which is happening. China is proposing their thing. Russia is proposing their thing. Now Russia, I mean, if you want to buy oil, you have to pay in rubles, or if you pay in the whole currency thing is changing. So I think the new world order is coming. So the America great days are gone. I think, or might be fading. It will fade after some time. It's another struggle.
Absolutely. I mean, while everyone shut down Russia, Russia's stock exchange was only still happening in China. We've had ministers on, we've had actors on. And so we wanted to go into, wanted to get some professors on as well. And then when I saw your profile, I thought to myself, hey, you know what? I really want to talk to an architect one day. I really want to understand what behind is it, right? And so that's how I then discovered your profile. And I was like, hey, you know what? Let's have him on the show and you can explain to me why don't I understand the beauty of it.
So I was like confused. I was like, okay, let me go and let me see what it's all about.
Well, I hope you like the set. I hope you enjoy the setup.
Perfect. This is the BTS, you know.
Yeah, thank you so much. In our worst period, we had 2 episodes a day.
Okay.
6 to 7 days a week sometimes for a month, and that was a total nightmare.
But in your website, nothing is there.
We on our Instagram, and we've just started
I
producing
saw your
it.
Instagram. I saw your YouTube channel as well. But in website, it's still. So I was like, okay, this guy is asking me about this thing. I mean, let me check what he's gonna talk about.
Our website shouldn't be. Was it down? Can you check our website to make sure it's open? We're running. It is basically just a what's the right word? It's just basically a directory.
Yeah.
So it's just meant to give you other links. Yeah. And then if you click on podcast.
Yeah, I saw that thing later, the podcast, the host, the contact.
Yeah. I think some of our episodes, I mean, the website isn't exactly, oh no, it's working, okay. We had Abu Jade, who's a comedian, Master Mo, who's a public speaker, Dana, she's a food critic here in Bahrain.
Yeah, I watched her episode regarding like how tough to be. Yeah,
scary.
Scary. I mean, India. I mean, there's a time I used to do food review in Zomato. So, like you have Talabats in India, we have a Zomato. So that time you have to write food reviews on their app, and slowly and gradually they'll give you a score. And there was a time I was a super foodie, and it was pretty okay. Sometimes you have to. Criticism is always. I mean, I don't know why people take that thing as a negative notion.
Some people's skins are really thin, you know what I mean?
Yeah, very thin. I mean, there's a time we criticize restaurants like hell, and every time they ask, okay, why didn't you visit her, and we'll serve you another food, and might be you can change your opinion. So it was pretty easy, and the day I saw, I was like, okay.
She has a permanent lawyer now on retainer because she's been sued 3 times.
Yeah, and I heard about that contract thing.
Yeah. Where she has to sign
it. That's.
Dude, she had one guy who messaged her saying, "Hey, I'm going to put your car on fire while you're inside of it." Like, that's such next level. But also for a food review, like you're threatening to kill someone for a food review.
The thing is, I'm paying for that food and I'm reviewing. That's all. It's not like you are inviting me and I'm doing a favor. You know?
Unbelievable. And she had like some creeps as well that like showed up at her restaurant and then said, "Hey, you know what? I really fancy you, so I'm going to get you every food of Bahrain."
Yeah, and then that stalker used to all the breads. Like, okay, people.
I was talking to her recently and she's still dealing with him. So she doesn't know what to do.
That's pretty strange, you know.
Is it?
Yeah, it's strange. Like somebody is like sending you food every second day.
Why did she slap?
Might be she's scared.
No, I said the internet sensation, that Indian actor who slapped that girl, and then it was everywhere on TV for a while.
That was another hypocrisy. Let's not.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
He's famous now.
He's famous now.
He's gotten a job because he slapped that girl.
In India, you can do any unwanted things, and people. I mean, there are two sets of people. One will support you. There are the people that will criticize you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I just recently, I saw him on I don't know what channel, but I remember seeing an interview with him, and he talks about how he said like, oh, I really regret it, and blah, 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 and I didn't get jobs for 5 years. And then he said like towards the end of the segment, but now everyone's messaging me saying they want me in TV shows and movies.
So it is very common though these days, There are people, there's a girl called Dhinchak Pooja. Dhinchak is like Dhinchak is a very slang kind of thing. Like somebody's like very easygoing and very jolly, like you have to cross the boundary of that jolliness kind of thing. So there's a girl and she used to write like 2-liner, 4-liner songs. And she was famous and people like...
Gone crazy.
Where are you heading? Come on.
Do you think that what's that famous actor called again? I forgot his name now. Sadiq, was it Sadiq Khan that Shah Rukh Khan?
Shah Rukh Khan.
That he threatened that he might run for prime minister?
No.
Because remember his son was arrested.
Yeah, and again that was all a bribery case.
Yeah, right.
And that guy got clean sheet.
Exactly. So the urban rumor was that he supposedly said if his son isn't released, then he will go and run for prime minister.
No, I don't think so. It's impossible. I mean, you are a film actor, so it doesn't mean you can be anything in India.
You don't think so?
You need a certain. Indians are very particular about profession. If you are so you'll fit into A. They'll consider you A only. You can't.
Sadiq Khan managed. Shah Rukh Khan managed to fucking become prime minister, and all he did was a cricket player.
No. I mean, he's not a cricket player. He's. IPL, the Indian Premier League. It's a cricket.
No. The Indian prime minister.
Imran Khan.
Imran Khan.
So Pakistan have a different situation. In India, it's not possible.
I don't know. Trump managed to become president of the United States, and all he was is a TV star.
I mean, India is. I mean, you can ask Akash. India is very particular about things. They can't imagine things. It's impossible.
Where do you sit with that, Akash? Do you agree or you disagree?
What's your take, Akash?
Completely disagree.
With who?
With me?
Yes.
So I mean,
so there you go. I think he would vote for who?
Shah Rukh Khan.
Yeah, why not?
But I will not, never. I mean, no, I can't imagine Shah Rukh Khan as a politician.
But think about like the average person there, right?
Though, but again, there are fan followings. There's a set of people they follow, and they literally worship.
The ground he works on, absolutely.
No. Literally in India, they worship. They have statues. They have thing, and every day they do aarti, and the way they treat their god. At the same time, they're treating the film stars.
I can't imagine him not.
Still, the kind of situation we are going through in India, it's impossible. I mean, the boycott. I mean, have you heard about this boycott trend in India?
Yeah.
I mean, Amir Khan. I mean,
guy.
He's known as a Mr. Perfectionist.
Yeah.
His movie got boycotted just because he said something like 2 or 3 years back about India, about the situation, the polarization thing. He's like, I don't think so. India is the right place to sit, and me and my wife is thinking about moving out, and just because of that trend and people boycotted.
Do you not think though that was a hit piece? Do you not think that was a hit piece though?
I don't know. I mean,
I don't think that naturally happened. You know what I mean? I think
so. It's not naturally happened. There's a particular toolkit. I mean, from 2014, there are toolkits. I mean, if you see the things are trending and they're following this proper manner. If you see, there are different IT cells they're working for it, and it's all copy paste.
Well, absolutely. I mean, Modi himself called up Twitter when he didn't like what was happening and said, "Shut it down." And that's what happened. I mean, it's pretty crazy at the moment down there. Do you think that brain drain will ever stop happening in India?
No.
I think
it's impossible.
Yeah, I famously remember my godfather. He is from Bombay, and he's a physician, a doctor, a brain surgeon in the UK. And he went back to India to open a hospital. and he realized that the stigma involved, because they saw him as like, oh, he must be a failure because he's come back from the UK, right?
Yeah, the thing is, if you are a UK or USA or Canada return or Australia return, they're like, okay, that guy. I mean, the people will taunt you like hell, and they'll say, okay, this guy, okay, he is not able to earn that much. That's why he is coming to India.
Exactly.
It is considered as a sin kind of thing.
Exactly.
In typical Indian societies. Recently, the Yusuf Ali, the Lulu group.
Oh yeah.
He
yeah.
also, I mean, his mall get into the controversy, unwanted controversy, because that is one of the biggest mall. At the same time, other malls, people are obviously, if you're providing everything, people will go. People are looking for a new thing in terms of entertainment, not in terms of their thought process. They want to still stick. I mean, it's not about any particular religion. It's about all the religion in India. They're very particular about things. They just want to go to that.
Do you see that Bollywood will ever take over from Hollywood on a more international scale?
Now, the South Indian, the Bollywood. Bollywood is all about.
Oh,
Hello.
Just maybe a little louder. Or his
Hello.
maybe a lot louder.
Hello.
okay. Or you can turn down my gain, I think, right?
No, you can stay in the same position, but just speak a bit louder.
Okay.
Hello.
You don't need to lean into the mic.
Okay.
Relax.
Yeah.
And just be a bit more louder.
Yeah. So we just
Okay.
increase
Is this
our
okay
volume.
now? Yeah. Okay. Fine. So, I mean, the South Indian film industry is taking over the Bollywood. That is called Tollywood, like people and superstars. After I think RRR, there's a movie, and the Pushpa. Pushpa 2, I think your DP is about Pushpa, right? Yeah, I saw this. I was like, wow. I mean, okay, this guy is fan of South Indian movies. So the Pushpa and other movies, like Tollywood is kind of, you can say.
I think so. I think Bollywood might have a bigger chance than China would. I think, is that what they call it? The Chinese Hollywood, the Chinese movies that are coming out.
Chinese movie and people, I mean, Indians are very fancy. I mean, they fancy about the South Korean movies, not Chinese. Chinese is there's a time, I mean, there's a certain set of people, or you can say below 12 or 12 to 15, that time when you're exploring your hormonal thing.
Sure.
That time you're okay, we should watch Kung Fu and we should watch all the Chinese thing. But after that, when you slowly and gradually you grow, so
When Jackie Chan, I was in Bombay when Jackie Chan was there, on a separate project, and I met Jackie Chan, and people went crazy seeing him. It was I've never even in America, I never thought that Jackie Chan would be like, people would stop and make a parade and the whole shebang.
They pray. I mean, the thing is, if you go to southern states, the Kerala, the Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, and Karnataka. So mostly the Telangana side or the Andhra Pradesh side or Tamil Nadu, I mean, they literally worship their superstars. And there's a fan following. In fact, Bollywood don't have that much of privilege, the kind of privilege those people are doing. They literally worship their stars. And the thing is, they also appreciate their effort. I mean, if you go to cinema halls, there's 100 feet, 50 feet, 70 feet statues, or the cutouts are placed, and they put flowers and all before releasing them. All the audience and all the supporters and fan following.
To me, all that kind of like fan following.
It's a different world,
crazy.
you know. It's a different world. I mean, Rajnikant is Rajnikant. Like Shah Rukh Khan and Salman and Aamir or Akshay, they have still they rule the northern India, but Rajni is like Rajni.
I think that it's a transitional phase, and I think how like the Americans had like the 1950s and 1960s, where you had like those big movie stars, those big Hollywood stars. I think that's what India's going through, because now.
No, but it's fading. Actually.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
in
too.
Bollywood, it's fading. If you see the current trends, it's fading literally. In South India, it's emerging as a better industry, but Northern India, the Bollywood, it's fading. It's completely fading.
What do you think about the youth? Do you think movies in a traditional sense still has a space, or do you think it's all going to go online? Like with YouTube,
OTT is better option. I mean, the kind of effort they already put in. There's a money. It's not. I mean, the thing is, if you boycott a movie, then it's not just about the stars. There's a whole people. There's a whole
industry behind.
Industry is behind. I mean, there are people. I mean, they are daily wage earner. So you have to think about them also. That's why they are working hard. I mean, the thing is, if movies fail, I mean, how they are supposed to
Okay, yeah.
It's not just about the Amir Khan or Salman Khan
Sure.
or the thing. There are people, you know.
There's a whole support. in order-
Whole support team, whole crew member.
Nobody ever thinks about catering.
Movie is not just about the stars. It's about a crew member. For example, one movie, more than 100 or 150 or 200 people are working. They're supporting members, supporting technical directors or assistant director or technical people or non-technical people, the laborers, the chai wala, the tea wala, the flour wala, the light wala, so many people.
Dan, by the way, he was working on a movie here in Bahrain with a Indian director. No, Dan?
Yes.
Which one?
It was an independent film.
And what happened to it?
The director ran away with
Jesus Christ. That always makes me laugh when I hear that.
That's why architecture is a failed business in India, you know. The thing is, they promise some money.
And then just disappear. It's
and the
crazy.
thing is, for example, just because I'm an architect, whenever I visit my hometown, a hell lot of people will come. Okay, you have to just draw 4 lines only, no? Why you need money? And you're asking your uncles, you're asking your aunt, or like, come on, there's a whole brain which is, I mean, if it is about just 4 lines, why didn't you draw and
then call it a day, yeah.
Construct, that's all.
It's weird how people don't, this happens in every culture, but I don't understand how people don't understand that you got to eat. You know what I mean? No one, for whatever reason, people don't seem to...
In India, they don't want to give you money. They're like, I mean, you have to do it for free. It's just about 4 lines you have to draw like this, tick, 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 that's all.
Yeah.
And they'll instruct you, no, just place this thing there, place this thing there, please put this thing here, here, here. Then why the hell you have to hire an architect? Why don't you do it by
yourself then? Yeah.
It's not about other people, it's about my dad also, it's about my mom also. And they're very fantasized. I want this should look like that, this should look like that. At the same time, when another relative, they comment about they're like, what you have done to this particular space? I mean, like, come on, it's still under construction. Let me finish my house. I mean, the thing is, the first time I had designed a house, because we had a common joint family, and every Eid and Bakrid, we celebrate together. All my uncles, all my aunts, all my cousins, everybody is in one place in my old house. So this time we thought, okay, what if my wife will come, my brother's wife will come? So it's better to have a big kitchen, right? So my kitchen is 30 feet by 20 feet.
That's a big kitchen.
It's big kitchen with a central island, so that all of you can cook together, and everything should be in proper place. Then one of my aunt came in like, are you sure it's a kitchen? It's a marriage hall. Come on. You have just wasted the space, blah, 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 blah. And by the time the central island was not done, like, it's just a waste of space. I don't know how many kitchens you're gonna. People come and people do taunt. And then my parents are like, what you have done to our house? It's not looking good. You have designed this big house. Once everything is finished, now everybody is coming and clicking the picture of the kitchen. Kitchen should be this big. This is the perfect kitchen for work. So that, I mean, during my engagement, all my relatives, all my uncle, aunts, and all our mates, everybody was sitting there. Everybody is working in that kitchen. So we need that sort of space, you know. Everybody like, why? I mean, let me finish the house. Let it get it done with that. Then only you can comment. You can't just say prior to that joining.
I totally agree with you. I know friends who are physicians and doctors who their parents will not take their medical advice, but will take it from a complete stranger.
A stranger, yeah.
And they always go, you know what, what can I do for you then? It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, and then now everybody extended the kitchens because earlier it was a very small kitchen, this size kitchen. But the thing is, if you have joint family, if me and my brother, my brothers, I have 2 brothers, me and my brother and my wife's gonna stay in the same house. So we have to make sure it should be big enough to accommodate all the people. And we had a joint family, still directly or indirectly still we have. So you have to accommodate all people. You can't just say, hey, just wait outside, let them finish the work, you know.
Sure.
It's like that.
So do you believe open kitchen concepts are still popular?
It depends. In India now, people are adopting the open kitchen. But again, it depends on people. It depends on the users. For example, there are people, they do parda. So they don't want, the ladies don't want them to see, like, if the guests are there. So might be they'll put curtains when the guests will be there. So then what is the purpose of having
an open kitchen? Absolutely. No, I think this is interesting because I know in the West right now, open kitchens are becoming less and less popular. kitchens in general becoming less popular because a lot of people are just ordering in food.
Yeah.
You know, places in London, especially, the kitchens are so small that there isn't really a kitchen per se. You know, I know apartments in London where the freezer is bigger than the fridge.
Yeah.
That's, to me, you know, you've got a 1 point something million, let's put it in BD. You have a 700,000 BD apartment, and the kitchen is as big as a beer cooler.
It's not a kitchen, it's like a kitchenette kind of
Yeah.
thing, like the pantry, like
Exactly.
a smaller version of pantry kind of thing, yeah. But the thing is the kitchen, the thing is, whether you're talking about the Bahraini, I don't know much about the Bahraini kitchen system, but Indian, they
Have it so.
they love to host people. They are very good with the hospitality, and they don't want to order food. I mean, it's a sin, like ordering food from outside to offer your guests.
Do you think that's going to change in the next couple of years, mentality-wise?
I don't know. My wife don't know how to cook.
There you go. That's the answer to that question.
So yeah, I can tell, but she's learning now. She's learning, and my mother, she is very good cook. I mean, the thing is, if your parents, or if I'm a guardian to my son or my daughter, if my wife, if we couple can feed our child a better food, or food from different taste, different background, instead of sticking to the oats and all the so-called sophisticated foods.
Or frozen food that just
the frozen food, then only the child will enjoy the actual thing. What is the point of having a frozen food in your home? And people should know how to cook.
I know a girl we had on the show who was telling me that although she has the time, she has the finances and everything, she's just too lazy to cook. And she'd rather just buy something frozen and heat it up.
I don't prefer. I mean,
I don't know how you can live like that, personally.
Yeah, the thing is, I remember in 2016, I went to Saudi. I was in Riyadh for 3 months. And by the time, I don't know how to cook. I just know how to prepare a tea. Right? So when I reached there, and my company gave me like fully equipped kitchen with all the utensils, and I was very excited. Let me cook today. And I asked my mom. I called my mom. Hey, I want to cook your XYZ dish. She was like, okay, go and get mutton from the shop.
Corner shop, whatever.
Yeah. So we don't have a cold store concept. We don't prefer the frozen meat or frozen food. So in every corner, you'll find the fresh meat. You'll find the fresh vegetables. So I've been there. I got my mutton. It was mutton cubes or something like that. And then she instructed me, okay, do this. Everything was done, but mutton was uncooked. Then I told my mother, the thing is, everything is just perfect, but the thing is, mutton is uncooked. I mean, why? Then she asked, from where you got this mutton? I was like, it's a frozen mutton. Then she told me you have to have papaya, because the frozen mutton you can't cook in an open utensils. You have to use the pressure cooker.
Sure.
And my 3 months in Saudi, every time I have to order food and I put on weight because I don't know the cooking.
Sure.
So I regret. I mean, I should learn cooking. Then when I came back, then my mother taught me how to do that. Now I can cook. So the thing is, if you can cook, then only you can host people and people can enjoy the authenticity. For example, you are Bahraini and I'm an Indian. If I'll ask you, okay, why don't you come over to my place? Let me host you. Let's have a dinner together. And if I have to order something from some XYZ Indian restaurant or some XYZ American or any European restaurant, then what is the point of hosting? It's better
Might as well do a restaurant.
It's better to go to KFC, or it's better to go to Al Bake and have their like quick meal and then leave. So that is the thing. The culture is very important in how you. So that's why I clearly instructed my wife, you have to.
No, I agree. But I think, the idea of...
You don't have to cook so many things, but you should know. I mean, you have to stick to the roots. It's not about your culture, but it's about the architecture. It's about every aspect. If you see, you have to stick to your roots.
No, I agree with you, but I think the idea of hosting dinners and stuff like that is a concept that's disappearing, people hardly go out anymore. You talked about it earlier about that people just almost use the bedroom to eat, work.
Yeah, the courtyard. I mean, still they're using. They're using the thing. The very good thing I learned from my parents. Like, okay, we don't have time because they are into business. They don't have time. So, okay, morning we can do individually. The breakfast we can do individually. The lunch, if we got a chance, we'll sit together. Otherwise, if me and my brother is there, so we can eat together. Otherwise, we'll eat individually. But that dinner, we'll make sure by 8:30 to 9, we have to finish our dinner. My wife, my brother's wife, all my siblings, my mother, my father, everybody should sit together, eat together, talk together, and then go to their bed.
You see, I think that's not something.
And we are not allowed to eat our food inside the bedroom. There's a clear dining hall is there. Whatever you want to eat, whatever you want to drink, you have to go and you have to utilize this.
I think it's good. I think it's good, but I think that's not the normal case.
No, that's not the normal case.
I mean, how much of your students do you see that are constantly just on their phone? I imagine, even though they paid money to go to a university, but they're more interested in texting or replying to some sort of conversation.
That is called inattentive blindness. Though I'm doing a PhD and it's all about the walkability.
Sure.
The problem, there are different researchers, they pointed out. When we design a footpath or when we design a fancy building and fancy landscape and fancy road, but the thing is, user is whole time they're busy with their texting and talking and chatting. They're not observing the built environment, and at the same time they're very prone to the accidents rather than the car accidents. The pedestrian accidents, they're very prone to that. That is called inattentive blindness. That is a major phase we are facing right now. Though people take it very casually, hey, just a text, 2-minute text, but that 2 minutes text can bring disaster to your life.
I totally agree. I mean, I remember reading this book, Human-Centered Design.
Yeah.
It's from the same author who also worked on the iPhone. And in the book, they just did a re-release, a new release on the book, and it mentions about how human-centered design is now shifting to inattentive design, as you mentioned, and how city plans and parks are now designed in such a way that it takes into account that somebody's not paying attention.
They're not paying attention
while walking or while going.
Because it's not about people are not paying attention, but the thing is the way, we shaped our city in such a manner, like people are not taking interest. The thing is, if you go to Jeddah, the old town, if you walk within that alley or if you walk within that street, you can find those old Jeddah houses. How beautifully they have captured the whole settlement. You would love to see, okay, look at that window. The thing is, if you'll create the same fancy or unique thing in your facade, then only people will observe it. If it is all about...
Dan, put it on Google screen. Jeddah architecture.
So, yeah. If you see, again, there's a different science.
If you're an audio listener, then I would recommend going on Google and typing Jeddah architecture, because there's some really, really beautiful pieces, especially the windows, I think.
The windows.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
It's all vernacular. This is how, this is what...
Traditional design. Likewise, the Bahraini houses, they have different notions. Do you not believe that this sort of stuff is disappearing and never going to come back?
It's completely disappeared.
Yeah.
It's there. Thanks to the Saudi government, they preserved it. Or the stakeholders or the users or the owners of those buildings. Look at this, how beautifully it is designed in such a manner so that it can cool down the wind. For example, if we are talking about the Arabian architecture. So there's a time when we had a wind, the chimney well or the wind well, so that it can cool down. There's a different climate aspect to it. So it was designed in such a way, so if you don't have fan, if you don't have electricity, so you can cool your houses.
Down.
So, you can see as I told you about the biryani, the ingredients are same. But the thing is, the preparation style is different. Likewise for the architecture.
That's beautiful though. But do you find that architecture, or do you find that's engineering? Where does one thing start and the other end?
It's the other way around.
You think so?
Yeah.
Because when you're talking about designing buildings in order to allow it for heat transfers.
The thing is, the facade is about the engineering thing, but the beauty or the aesthetic is shaped by the architecture.
Okay.
You can
like a car designer.
Car design kind of thing. So there's two aspects. One is the mechanical, second one is the technical or the aesthetic purpose. One is the technical, second one is the aesthetic. Likewise with the architecture, you can see. Have you been to Jeddah? No.
Yes. I've been to Jeddah, Riyadh, Dammam, Khaba. But yeah, can you zoom out a little bit down? Let's see what other pictures are there from some of these places. It's really beautiful.
It's very beautiful if you walk within those. So that's why the inattentive blindness, I think there's another reason. Like if you design a fancy facade, not fancy, if you design something unique, people do what. But in current modern or contemporary architecture, whether you see in India or in Bahrain, you can just find the glass building. That's all. There's nothing interesting.
But do you not think that one problem of that is the financial constraints that you find?
Financial constraints, as in,
I know a lot of architects, and especially from a designer, from the builder, they just want something as cheap as possible to build up as quick as possible.
It depends on the builder. It depends on the client. Okay, money is always an issue. Slowly and gradually they overcome. But the thing is, if you are pretty clear about, if my client is pretty clear about what exactly he is looking for, and he's having a money, so not just there. But again, there's another notion, other aspect is there. Okay, they want something something fantastic, but they don't have that much of budget.
Sure.
So by the time they have to squeeze things. So for example, if in Bangalore, there's one building is there. So that was somehow kind of inspired from the Twin Tower of Malaysia. So they call it a Twin Tower. But it's a very shabby building. It's not even a glass, but they just put 2 domes on the top. From the flyover, you can see that. And they call it, hey, look at the Twin Tower. It's a very shabby thing.
Twin Tower Malaysia, type it in so we can see it.
No, but Twin Tower Malaysia is very beautifully designed. Completely inspired from this geometric, if you see their floor plans. So the whole geometry is there, the whole technicality.
I remember this was very big in the 90s.
Yeah.
I remember there was a lot of articles written about it, and people were they put a lot of effort into it.
So the thing is, if you want a fancy or very unique architecture, you have to put money. If you see the UAE, the way they are exploring, if you see the NEOM, the kind of intervention that, they are doing another thought process. The NEOM is there at the same time. There's a one circle, one ring is proposed around the.
Yeah, the can you type in and I remember seeing some
NEOM
potential
city,
plans.
Yeah, the NEOM city, the kind of thought process is very interesting. This is the city. So everything will be above, all the living thing will be above the ground, and below they're going to construct all the transportation hubs and everything, and that is around 160 or 150 kilometer long city.
I spoke to some government officials, and they were telling me that because I'll be completely honest to the people listening, I believe that this was that this was vapeware.
It's live?
Yeah, no, it's not live.
Okay.
It's edited.
Okay.
No, I'm happy to say this on camera anyways. I spoke to some government officials about this, and I thought, originally, this is just marketing. This is just...
Look,
story.
Obviously, it's a marketing, but again, it's a thought process. The thing is, you have to design something, then people will come and invest.
But they told me this is real. They said, they said to me, no. They said the designs that you're seeing in the pictures,
it's real.
This is how it's going to look like. And I was like, no. They're like, no.
Yeah.
We're serious. And I was blown away. I never thought.
Yeah, it's. Recently you can see. After this NEOM, 5 days ago, I saw this architect. He proposed one big ring around the
Emirates Tower. I know.
So it's again a competition because
Burj Khalifa. That's the
Burj Khalifa. It's a competition. The thing is, UAE can't afford their people to shift to Saudi, and Saudi can't. Saudi have to afford.
Absolutely. Well,
because you can't rely on the oil thing. So architecture is now shaping the country. Architecture is now shaping the economy of the country.
Can you look up then what's the point of the line of NEOM, sorry?
No, this is the NEOM.
Yeah, I was just wondering what the concept behind it was. If
it's a linear city.
Yeah, no. I know. I understand. It's the first linear city I think in the world. But I'm just trying to understand why design it at all, Is it because of it's somehow better for the environment, or it's better for heat?
Yeah, it's not about heat or environment. Again, they want to design a different concept. They don't want, the thing is, there's a concept in terms of sustainability. Like if you are acquiring a land, So you are kind of deforesting, or you are acquiring the flora and fauna as well.
Because it's from an environmental perspective, it's not exactly,
it's a perspective, and they have different sustainability measures they introduced in this particular project.
Sure, but you're breaking up an entire habitat if you're creating a straight line, right? So unless you're putting gaps for the animals to cross,
I don't think so. There's animals.
that's what I'm saying, right? You're.
But I was wondering the kind of facade or the kind of glass they have used. I don't know how the.
This does not look like Earth. This looks like the year fucking like 4000.
Yeah. So.
This looks like something out of like Halo.
Yeah, you can see the kind of vegetations.
Place to promote.
I mean, I would
business.
love to see this project because this project is very interesting and very unique.
Here, can you go up? Can you go up for 1 second? Our zero car environment is part of 100% sustainability transport system
Yeah,
with
net
zero
building
pollution,
gap
zero wait time, reduced commutes, and will create more time and leisure. Okay, can you scroll one down?
So just imagine a city without car. I imagine a city without car insurance or the driving license. A city without
Advanced tech planning, logistics, and molecular
construction.
construction enables effective delivery of the line, and the community will live close to and in harmony with nature, which will be 95% untouched by urbanization. Our vertical garden city will mean you're always only 2 meters from nature. That's interesting.
That's interesting. At the same time, it's insane. Just imagine you're designing a tall tower just next to each other because you're leaving the remaining land for the further development, or might be to grow the flora and fauna, or might be to preserve the the natural environment or ecosystem.
Sure.
But I was wondering the kind of glass they have used in their facade.
Or the kind of plants that they're going to be using in nature as well.
The plants, it's pretty okay. I mean, if you see, have you seen?
Can you scroll down?
The Changi Airport in Singapore.
Sure. I've seen I know which one you're talking about. Can you type in the airport in?
The Changi, CHANGI, Changi Airport, Singapore. No, CHANGI, yeah, Changi Airport, Singapore. So it's completely biophilic. Singapore is working towards the biophilic architecture. So you can see there's a big water.
Well,
it's a huge dome and the whole flora, fauna, and it's the airport. So you can take a metro, you can go here and there.
Because it's not easy to design something like this. I mean, forget from the base perspective of just the dome, just the amount of research you need from plant biology to make sure that you're putting the right plants together with each other.
So there's an architect called Woha, W-H-A. He's based in Singapore. So these are the guys, they work for the biophilic architecture. So in Dubai Expo 2020, I mean, if you see the Singapore pavilion, so it's full of vegetation. So, I mean, they are focusing...
They're specialists.
Yeah, they are specialists, and they're focusing towards one particular thing. Again, Singapore have different weather, and the Dubai have different weather. But at the same time, they have managed the whole thing in an open environment in Dubai Expo for a year.
Dan, can you type in Burj Khalifa ring? Because I remember seeing it. I just wonder what the purpose of it was.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah, is it meant to be what? Is it just meant to...
I just saw those renders. I don't know what exactly it is. I think not much.
Maybe offices?
No, it's not offices. I don't know what exactly it is because I never got a chance to...
Can you open it on Google?
Okay, might be you can click on this this one, the design one. Yeah. You can
proposed encircling Burj Khalifa with continuous metropole. So is it meant to be like a city within a city?
Yeah, kind of.
Blah 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 blah. Scroll. Do you think that makes that? Do you think that design is nicer or worse off?
I don't know if I go through the proper proposal or if I go through the detailed proposal, then only I can comment on that because it's just an illustration.
From a perspective of an artist, as a renderer.
Okay, as an artist, a render is perfect. It's
think so?
Yeah, it's perfect. It is somehow creating a contrast within the skyline. It is adding an add.
You don't think that like one of the beautiful things about the Burj Khalifa is that it's this continuous thing, unbroken, like line. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I got your point. The unbroken line. But this ring is like creating another contrast to the whole vicinity. It is not just restricting by the Burj Khalifa.
Oh, wow. It's meant to be very tall.
Yeah. It's not just...
Here, what does it say? Can you just scroll one little bit down? It says, rising population growth and urbanization in cities across the world.
170 kilometer long.
170. About how high, I wonder? Because that's at least 100 meters. That's 50, 80 meters up, at least.
Yeah, kind of. If you see the facade, you can't find... I mean, the Burj Khalifa is left with like 1/3 or might be lesser than that in the render. So I'm wondering, I mean, it's like pretty tall structure.
Transportation systems running throughout along the lines, blah, blah, blah. Can you scroll up a little bit more? I just wonder, is it the concept behind it?
Yeah, this is the transportation. I think it's a monorail, which is running below the whole ring.
Isn't that interesting that monorails have suddenly become popular again? Since the 1920s, nobody has really used them. And now you've got Elon Musk.
We do have monorails.
Yeah, but nobody's really talked about them in a big way. Other than in airports, I don't know where else. I mean, you have California uses some monorail still.
Okay.
In public transport space.
Okay, so in India we have metro stations. We have metro station. We have buses, but metro station is the major. For example, in Delhi or.
But you don't have above train like monorails in the sense like you have in California. Can you look up San Francisco?
I think you're talking about the Tramp system.
Tramp system. It's above ground.
Yeah, Tramp is different and the monorail is different. Monorail is hanging. From the, I mean, for example, so metro stations above, for example, let's say there's one flyover is there. So you're riding a car above the surface, but monorail is like below the surface, it is a hanging thing. So in Kolkata, we have this tram system right now, but again, it's fading because it's very slow.
You think? Okay, that makes a fair point. And I think you're also stuck in that same route, no?
Yeah. So you can search monorail Mumbai.
If you're an audio listener, I would recommend you going on YouTube and watching the video clip because otherwise you're not going to have a good day today.
Mumbai, not mobile.
Oh, yeah, okay. China has these as well, I think. Can you look at the newsarteen.com? Just down there. Down, it says hilarious Photoshop.
That is a Photoshop.
Open it up. I want to see it. Open it up.
People like
right.
Hilarious Photoshop.
Right. That's the one.
It's Photoshop.
I mean, these people are at least like they're safe. Well, safe.
It's not safe. How can
Well, you're gonna survive this. You're not gonna survive a plane hanging from the outside.
Yeah. So it's very common during peak season or during festive seasons you can find.
Well, at least it's not as bad as China. In China, people have to wear diapers.
What? Sorry, I didn't get you.
So, in like some of the train journeys that are like to the mainland, they're like 8-9 hours, and there's not enough bathrooms installed on the train itself. So people have to actually wear adult diapers on that trip. So I would prefer fucking being on top of that fucking train. Can you type that in? China adult diapers for train? See if I'm not making that up. Here, China disposable adult toilets. Yeah, this stuff is real.
Yeah, I don't know. I had no clue about that. But
yeah, see, adult diaper sales soar before long trips home.
So I don't know. I mean, we do have train systems in India, and there's a 2 days or 3 days journey. But I don't know how people do manage with diapers. The adults, kids, it's okay, but adults, seriously.
Can you imagine, like, as a 30-year-old man sitting there?
No, I can't, guy.
I mean, but China is crazy, dude. China
is crazy in terms of the workforce, in terms of all the first copy or second copy material. You can find everything.
they have this. Can you type in China 996? So is this is what they. Wait. Is it 996? It's 6. Maybe try. Wait. Yeah, no, it should be China's 66. It's 966. Yeah. So they have this like work culture. Yeah, work culture. There it was.
The first one, right?
So they have this work culture, right? What it basically means is you work from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week. And if you don't like it, there's 996 other people who are willing to do your job. That's what 996 means.
Oh God.
That is
crazy.
That is, I love the brutality of it. It's like so in your face. It's like, hey, you know what? If you don't like it, there's 996 other people who are willing to do your job.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
No, I mean Japan is also they have a.
What's 007? What's 0? So from 12 to 12?
People working
7 days a week? It says right there, 996/007, how Chinese young people work nowadays. That's a YouTube clip. I'm just wondering what 007 means. What, there's only 7 other people who are willing to do your work? I don't think that's correct. That's crazy.
That's crazy. I mean, in fact, Japan have.
There's an article right there on Vice. If you don't work 996,
Others
will do it. There's a better one there. If you don't work 996, others will. Oh no, same.
Same
Right,
thing,
whatever.
yeah, same concept. But this is horrible. Like 12 hours. But India, it's like unwillingly. In architecture offices, the architecture work culture is horrible in India.
Really?
12 hours, 13 hours, 14 hours.
So how long does it take you to design, let's say, a two-block building? Of course, it changes on the scope.
Changes are there. I mean, until the time it is not getting. I mean, after execution, people do ask for the change. It's
Sure.
like that. They're like, okay, demolish this wall, construct this wall, demolish this wall. I don't want this building should look like that. I don't want interior should look like that. So
But is that an architectural responsibility or is that the engineer's responsibility?
architect's responsibility?
Really? Okay.
So, I mean, the client is there. There's a different clients are there. So they can ask for any sort of change.
So how long would, like, let's give an estimate for people who are not architects. What would be the turnover period from the design prospect alone? From going from blank piece of paper to
So it depends.
client approval.
So it depends. For example, there's a different phases are there. First, for example, if you are my client, right?
Sure.
So you'll come with a different thought process. Okay, I want, for example, let's say you want to design. You want to design me a villa for you in Bahrain. So you'll come up with, okay, this is my area. This is the the authority norm. So I can't construct beyond that. These many levels I want. These are my families. So I'll inquire about the whole thing. Who are they? What sort of? I mean, if you have kids, if you don't have kids, what is the height, size, interest? So many things are there. So based on that, I'll sketch something and then I'll share with you. So it's up to you. I mean, for example, if you're fine with in one go, it's done. So there are clients that take years, they take 1.5 years to approve the design. No, I want this. And every time you have to come up with render, okay, first art should look like this. I want this material, especially in India. No, I want to use Makrana marble. The Makrana marble, the same marble which is used in Taj Mahal. So I want that thing from there. Okay, I want some furnitures. Once the finalization is done, in between the interior process also is that. So they're like, okay, no, I've been to USA and I have seen, or might be I have been to Paris and I saw something there. I want.
That's fascinating because I always thought that was more interior design than architecture. Because in my head, architecture is always the exterior.
No, architecture is not just about exterior. This is a negative, or might be people don't know much about the architecture. Is about the whole vibe and the whole ambience.
Okay.
I mean, architects do everything. I mean, we are landscape designers, we are city designers, we are urban designers. We have, for example, there's a landscape you can see in your vicinity or in your compound, the whole
Sure.
building. You can find this flora and fauna. There's a specific landscape architects and the botanists are involved to pick the plants. Landscape architect will design a outer thing, and based on that, the botanist will suggest, okay, you can pick this plant, you can pick that. During rainy days, what will be the solid rain? Rainwater runoffs, all those potholes, so many things are there, and they have to cross check with the architects. Okay, is it working? It is fine. Then you have to consult. I mean, being an architect is a very messy job, so you have to consult with the MEP. All the MEP thing you have to consult. First of all, you have to start with the structure engineers. You want something, there's a column is coming in between. You have to consult. No, I want this column to remove. The other guy is like, no, you can't do that. Okay, let's shift this way, let's shift that way. If it is not happening, okay, what if we can change the interior layout of the whole house? One thing you sorted out that thing, then after that there's an MEP. No, I don't want duct to be open. Oh, it is a centralized AC. If not, it is not it a window AC or this AC or that AC. So you have to coordinate with everything, because you know your facade, you know your building. You don't want one pipe should go from the facade because the client will not approve.
So if you're, let's say, 23 or 24, however old you are when you finish your degree, what would be your next step from your opinion? Would you say, okay, I'm going to go to a firm and try to work through an architect as a firm, or are you going to try to go straight from university and get clients?
I think because there's a two-way of approaching the same thought process.
Because I can't, like, a lot of your students must be asking exactly this kind of question.
So I would suggest it's better to go to a firm, work there for 2 to 3 years. Because you have to understand, architecture is not just about designing a building. Look, in institutes or in a university or in a school, what we do, we just help you to open your mind. We just help you to another world, how you can understand or perceive that particular place.
Sure.
How you can think about the interior, what are the different objects are making sense, or what are the different objects or the elements are not making sense to your interior spaces or facade. What is right, what is not right, what are the technical thing, what are the non-technical thing. So it's all about the theoretical. At the same time, you are in your own cocoon, you can say, because professor is guiding you. You're designing something, and whatever you're designing, professor are saying what is right and what is wrong and how you can perceive the thing. And you don't have the actual client during the university time, right? Or your school time. But once you go to the firm directly, or once you go to the client directly, right? For example, if you're a client, they'll eat you there only. Because you are an architect, that's perfectly all right. But your client because designing a house or designing a one building or one resident or one shop or whatever, for example, if you're my client, before approving or before collecting your money, for example, if you want to design a studio, so you might have invested 1.5 years or 2 years to what are the new technologies are there, what are the different things are there. Okay, I want this space should look like that, I want that space should look like that, I want this, I want that. Once you hire an architect, then you have to tell, okay, I want this, I want that. So you can't fool your client. The client have done 3 or 4 years research before consulting you. So the thing is, after your graduation, the moment you go there, they'll eat you.
Sure.
There only. So that means the moment they'll eat you, you're left with nothing. They're like, you don't know anything. So I would suggest you should go to the firm, understand the technicalities, understand the pressure, because architecture is not just about designing a building. There's a different authority approvals you need. How to get the approval done.
From the government perspective.
From the government.
Stuff.
In Bahrain, the thing is different. For example, okay, Bahrain is a small country, so you have one development authority in Bahrain. But the thing is, if you go to Saudi, if you go to UAE, if you go to India, any other country, every state or every city have different authorities based on the metropolitan or based on the city size, based on the land use, based on the land construction, based on the client's need, based on the prosperity of the city. But for example, the rules for the Khobar is different and the rules for the Dhahran is different, and the rules for the Dammam is different.
Sure.
So you should know, right? I mean, we do have separate books and we have to follow those guidelines, right? For example, you have to give this much of frontage, you have to occupy this 40% of the land or 60% of the land. So that is the one thing, that is a technical aspect. At the same time, you have to deal with your client. The client is like, okay, what if you can just go for the sunken thing? What if I want my building to look something? So there's a brief, you have to crack those aspects, you can't build everything on the ground. You can't build everything on basement. There are buildings you can see there's a slight basement, is a slight up is there, that there's a sunken portions are there. So you have to tweak those things.
But that's then you're talking to the engineer or you're talking to the developer.
No, it's all about the designing thing. The engineers, I mean, once you're done with the design, once you're done with the basic layout, then you have to consult the structure engineer, the first guy. That guy will tell you, okay, where to put
what can happen,
columns.
what can't happen.
I mean, for example, the guy is telling the engineer, telling the structure engineer, no, we can't do that minimal column. We have to go this one for a future security. But since you have studied those things during your university time, so you know the basics of those structural aspect. So you can say, no, what if we can move? What if we can go for the tie beam? What if we can go for this beam? What if we can go for that beam? The guy like, okay, this person knows. So then that person will do a little effort and do the calculation. So basically one column. So it's not about the column. You can minimize the structural part as well.
From an engineering architecture perspective, in India, in places you've been, how long are buildings built for? 10 years, 20 years, 50 years?
50 years.
50
it's
years.
Always about 50 years. Every 5 years we have a different thought process, and one building's for 50 years, not more than that.
Because in Bahrain here, they generally say internally 10 years.
Yeah.
That's what they generally say here in Bahrain.
Yeah, because we have
this is a very
different
land.
Yeah. You don't have land.
Exactly.
You can't just say, okay, for example, today you have this Bahrain Bay, and the government is reclaiming the land because the reclaimed islands, like you have Dalmunia, like you have Ambaj, these are not the natural islands.
No, Reef Island is exactly.
Yeah, the reef is again. So you have very short land. You have ample amount of land. You don't have that much, right? So might be tomorrow, might be you're building something for 10 years. Then again, after 10 years, the urbanization will shoot up. Migration will shoot up. You have another money, you have another investments like UAE or like other countries. So you have to demolish everything and you have to construct. Might be you have Ras Ruman just opposite to the Bahrain Bay. So might be tomorrow or day after tomorrow or after 5 years or 10 years, there's a redevelopment plan will come, and the whole, might be government can demolish the whole Ras Ruman, and you can see the whole Bahrain Bay and the Ras Ruman area can be one central business district.
Sure.
Might be they can shift, because I stay in Ali, so might be they can acquire a space in Ali, might be they can acquire space in Busaitin, another area which is low-lying area.
Sure.
So the low-lying area, they can propose something high-rise, because you have to think based on the need.
Sure.
You don't have much land.
I agree totally with that. What I'm referring to, because I own this property here and the one property came to me earlier. I own both those properties, and the level of finish, or rather said, the life period is terrible. Like even this floor right here, it's sunk a little bit in the middle.
So might be they have used the low quality material.
Yes.
That is not architect's fault. This is the developer's fault. Builders' fault.
But this is not wholly unique to this building that I'm currently in. This is everywhere in Bahrain.
I got your point. It's not about Bahrain, it's about India as well. They're based on the quality material, the quality of construction. But I must say the quality of construction is much better than India. I mean, though there are different builders, they are fantastic in terms of execution in India. But there's a local developers, they just let it down. I mean, after 2 years or 5 years, you can see the seepage within the wall. You can see those
cracks.
You can see so many things. That is all about the material.
No, I totally agree. I mean, this is a sad thing. About more here really than anywhere else. Bahrain has some localization issues. I don't know if you're aware of this, but financial institutions will not lend out to developers.
Okay, I don't know about that. In Bahrain?
In Bahrain, yeah. Because of how the laws are structured currently, there's a whole thing that's going to be a rebid right now. There's a whole process right now internally to restructure a lot of the law bases here. And one of the issues was that if a bank lends a developer money to go and develop the building, what happens when the builder goes bankrupt? In a normal westernized country, wherever else, the bank would then get the land. Right, that would be the.
Okay, yeah. So this is a different case.
Exactly.
Based on the context of Bahrain.
Exactly.
But in India, we don't have that. Obviously, if bankrupt, they'll come and they'll seize your property.
Exactly. Here in Bahrain, they cannot do that. Therefore, a lot of financial institutions, from my awareness, as far as I know, banks will not give you a builder loan unless you have something to put up.
Okay.
Because they will not accept land.
That is a different case, because in India or other countries they have a housing loan, so you can go and you can take money.
Well, that's a total different animal. I mean, here.
No, that is. I mean, if you're approaching in person. Otherwise, those developers and builders, whosoever they are, they don't have money. You know, they take loan. They execute the same. Once for example, if they're constructing 10 floors, so might be they have constructed 3 floors as we are in process. Otherwise, nobody's gonna buy your flats in an empty land. So you have to show something that the work progress is there. And once the money is there, then slowly and gradually they're investing those monies and they're clearing their debts.
I mean, Bahrain, in from a larger perspective, from architectural, is very interesting because you have 3 times as much property as you have population. There's enormous empty space, right? And I spoke to some government bodies here in Bahrain, and they were mentioning that they see the future of a lot of like how Turkey functions, how Spain functions, where you have a lot of retired individuals, high income individuals who are looking for a place that is very open, very beautiful, and they'll come and move into Bahrain. That's how they see it. And I think there is potential for that happening, because I don't think a 50, 60-year-old man wants to live in Dubai.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? And I think...
I mean, if you see Dubai or if you see the UAE, so only youngsters are living in the cities, and they still stick to the rules. Their parents who are old, they're still staying in their native or their villages. I mean, the local villages. So every weekend, their youngsters with their families, they go visit their parents, they stay there for 1 or 2, then again they come back. So this is what it is. But Bahrain is very small. I mean, either you can say, this is a half of Delhi in terms of area, and again, half of Bahrain is occupied by the
population.
oil.
Yeah.
No, I'm not talking. I'm just talking about the geography.
Sure.
The Delhi is very small in India. That is like 1400 square kilometer. Bahrain's area, the whole Bahrain's area is 750 square kilometer. And again, let's say 350 is occupied by your other side near, towards the Awali and all, that is occupied, that is inhabited place. And remaining this place, and if I see the Bahrain Bay area or the Jufair area is high rise, apart from that, all of them are low rise. But I think after 10 to 15 years, you can see the urbanization. Might be you are not able to see those small houses, 1 or 2 villas.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
it's going to happen, because the kind of news I read about Bahrain, this is the tourists are coming, that is 100 or 200% increase is there, 200%, like for example, Grand Prix and so many things they are organizing. So somehow they are diverting, they're attracting people, and it's a free country to live with. So obviously, if your country is free,
it's very relaxed as well.
Very relaxed and very calm. I love this. Though it's been 6 months now, but I like this city. I like this country.
Yeah,
it's very relaxed. Nobody gives a fuck about what exactly you're doing.
Exactly.
It's your life. Live your life. You want to go to
Saudi, you want to go to Dubai,
you want to go to Saudi, you can go. Most probably after 10 years, this Bahrain and Qatar highway will be there.
Completed, absolutely.
So if you want to go there, it's a chill country, you can do whatever you want.
I've always found this fascinating. I've always wondered why there's never been any boat systems between Saudi and Bahrain. You know how they have that Jessa, the bridge, right?
Yeah.
The causeway. Because there's always on the weekend, there's always traffic. And I've always thought to myself, how has there not been one investor who's went and bought, one of those huge ships where they, put the cars in the ship and then take them like across? I've never understood why somebody hasn't come together.
Some things might be because we are layman.
Maybe.
They know might be just because if they start doing this thing, so might be some unwanted activities will happen. Some unwanted things will transfer from one. Might be people from the seaside. They can.
Well, one of the reasons I got told from people in the know, they said that the time it would take to load the cars in the ship would be the same amount of time it would take to get through the causeway.
So for example,
So then I was like, all right, well, that's the end of that.
Yeah, this could be a one reason. For example, if you see the Istanbul this side, the Asia side or the Europe side, they do that. But again, it's a pretty long process. You have to wait. Okay, one car is coming. Might be people are not willing to go by ship.
France and the UK, right? They've got the underground train.
Yeah.
And they've got above water as well. They've got two mechanisms of travel.
Yeah.
So
again,
but it's a lot bigger distance.
No, but again, there's an investment is also there, and the people are coming during weekends throughout the day, throughout the week. I mean, apart from weekends, you can see you don't find people in the causeway. It's pretty open.
Oh, that's not true. Around 5 a.m. is usually very packed. You forget that a lot of people from Aramco who work in Aramco live in Bahrain.
I know. There's so many Saudi family, they're staying in Bahrain.
Exactly.
And every day morning they go there for work and then again they come back because of the environment in Bahrain.
Well, you know, it takes them about an hour.
But again, that is very momentary. That is for like fixed timing, right?
Sure.
But not the tourists, you know.
No, I agree with you. But I keep saying, I think that if you could somehow make the boat function both financially and with a good time constraint, because it takes about an hour to go through causeway, maybe even an hour and a half on during 5 a.m. when it's the worst period, right? And if you can do that through the boat system, then I think there would be potential for it. But I don't know.
Might be. I mean,
smarter people than me have clearly thought about this, but for whatever reason,
about it, and might be they had different opinions. That they have seen the feasibility of that.
They must have done feasibility studies on it. There must have been,
because it's happening in Istanbul, it's happening in Europe. So might be there are threats. Might be there are some other reasons. That's what they're not doing.
Well, I never understood why they haven't expanded the Jessor either, because it seems like such a easy solution.
I've never been to that causeway.
No, I know. There's just me spitballing my brain. I was just wondering why, you would never do that. It doesn't matter. I'll tell you a funny story. I know a guy, again, I'm not sure if we can keep this on tape, but I know a guy who was working for, I can't say the name of the fund company. He wasn't paid his salary for about 2 years, right? He's a doctorate in engineering. He was the civil engineer for a lot of projects, big position, and I talked to him about it, and I said, okay, so you didn't get paid for 2 years. It's a big company, blah blah blah. First, what are you doing now? And he said, oh, we made an agreement. We have a settlement. And I said, okay, fantastic. So what was the settlement? Did you manage to get more cash out? What happened? He said, no, they offered me 2 apartments for discount. And I said, so not only did you not get paid, but now you've actually put your own money in addition.
It's the other way around. Right?
I guess so.
Yeah.
And he has 2 properties.
Apartment is a big thing in the Middle East,
Well, you'd say so, but he has 0 tenants.
He has
0 tenants.
Okay.
And he's been trying to find tenants now for about 3 years. So
yeah, people do have so many ways to go and so many ways to.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So what do you see your future? You're gonna stay here in Bahrain long term?
My contract is till August 2023. Then after that, I'll see if things got renewed, because country is pretty chill. Workplace is pretty good. My students are pretty good.
So from your end, definitely, you'd love it.
From end, definitely. But again, we have to see so many aspects out there. It's not just my opinion, because it's not, you have to take so many checklists.
Sure.
To get another renewal. It's not that easy. I mean, just imagine it took me 2 years to get into this place. So just imagine how many checklists, and it's so obvious. It's everywhere.
It's usually when you get in, it's easier to renew than to do from the whole process in the beginning.
Yeah, it's easier to get new. The whole checklist, right? So you have to tick those things. Every year you have to submit your progress. And it's pretty okay. Otherwise, people, it's not about teaching, it's about every profession. You have to learn and learn things.
Sure.
Throughout your life. It's not just about your professional life, but in general. So to get into that process, the learning and unlearning thing, so you have to explore yourself. You have to see where you're lacking. So then only you have to, by force or by choice, you have to complete those checklists. Not just because to get the renewal done, but apart from that in general as well.
No, of course. When in Rome, be Roman, right?
Yeah,
there's
it's not about here, it's about India as well. You have to complete those checklists. Otherwise, then only other thing is just because those checklists are there, so you know what are the aspects of what are areas you have to actually work for yourself, not for the your organization, not for the university, not for the children. The thing is, the more you explore, the more you learn and more you unlearn, because you can't just be conservative with one thought. Okay, no, this is A means A, because education is not the old pedagogy system.
Modality. Yeah.
It's not that old pedagogy, because your child's every time they have mobile phones, they have access.
But this is about. I was about to lead into this. Do you believe that? Do you believe that physical drawing in architecture and physical modeling is going to disappear?
I doubt.
From an academic perspective.
Yeah, but the thing is, the initial days of our like first year and second year, we it's a mandate for students to do, because our mind and our hand work properly. They are in a sync, but our mind and mouse can't be in a sync. The more you're sketched, then only you can explore, okay, this could be this. Otherwise, if you completely rely on the softwares, if you completely rely on the computer, so whatever there, because it's not just a 2-dimensional design we do 3-dimensional design. Of course. And we assume something and we thought something, and by the end of the day, just because of those modeling, something else popped up and like, no, this one is looking good. But that is not your identity or originality. So that's why before the concept space, the first stage, we ask students to use the pencil, not pen. Pen again have different notion, The pencil, the more you sketch, the more you scribble, the more thought will evolve. Sure. It's all about the process.
And do you believe that hand cut models are going to disappear? Or do you
doubt.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
I think for high value projects, definitely.
The thing is, by the end of the day, your client is a layman, right? Your client is a layman, so if you show them a 3D, they'll ask so many questions. They'll not get it, because you know what you have designed. But to just make them feel you need a physical model, because the client is not an easy, easy stakeholder. I mean, you have to convince them for each and everything. So the thing is, I mean, for example, you're shopping through Namsi, and you've been to one shopping mall and you're shopping your t-shirt from there. It's a two different thing. You can't imagine so many things. You can see, just because the picture is clicked very nicely, might be color got changed, might be so many things got changed. Because we architects, the client, because when somebody is investing money, they want to touch, they want to feel, they want to absorb the whole thing.
Sure.
Okay, I had this thought, but it is not happening. They'll ask you, what if you can switch this? What if you can switch that? That's just not gonna happen so soon.
But don't you feel like modeling makes sense for higher value clients? I mean, if somebody comes to you for, let's say, a villa, I've from even my purchasing experience of purchasing property, the amount of times I've ever seen something like a physical structure, maybe once from 10 purchases. Generally, it's just you get thrown a piece of paper with square meter, your outlets, a floor plan, and the price, and take it or leave it.
That is a different thing. You're buying a property, but the thing is, you have a land and you want to design a property.
Okay, yes.
That is the one thing. And the second thing, if you buying a property, you want to see the physical model. That's why if you go to any mall or any developer's house, you'll see for example, if I'm promising you a park, a community area, where exactly in 2D, it's beyond we know for us, every line have a different meaning. Dotteds have different meaning. Solid line have a different meaning. Curvy line have a different meaning. These are technical things. You'll not get it. So you want to see those things in a physical. Pictures are deceptive, whether it is clicked or rendered.
Well, bring up a floor plan, and then let's ask you. So once and for all, I can understand a floor plan properly. And for the audience also listening, if you're listening, you're fucked.
Okay, you can click any floor plan. Or might be the second one. It's green. Yeah.
This is a typical grid.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing the see-through parts are glass?
Okay, so we'll start from the left. So you can see there's a garage is there. Where two cars are placed just next to, and behind those two cars, you can see the two white rectangles are there. Those are windows. So those are the lines for the windows. So line have a different.
Dan, use the mouse so everyone who's watching can understand.
On the left hand side. On the left hand.
By the car, yeah. Those.
So these are the lines.
These are the lines, yeah.
And the brown color is the solid wall.
Sure.
So there's no cutouts, nothing.
Sure.
Okay. On the top of the car, the other side, you can see these are the shutters or might be a doors so that you can open your garage based on the requirement. Or just on the right side, just next to this red car, you can see there's a
door mechanism. Yeah.
Yeah, that is the door. So again, you can see there's a clear difference, and the door is opening towards the garage, not opening inside the house. So it's about the opening a flap. The flap is opening inside. Then after that, there's a gym area is there just next to the garage. So you can see this gym area, all the equipments are placed. So you can't just say, okay, this is my gym area. So if I'm designing a gym area, so I have to jot down all the requirement, what are the equipments you need. So we have to check which company equipment you are going to install. So based on that, we measure the space and we place it's not like just an open place you have to. So you can see everything is placed just next to the gym area or below the gym area. You can see there's a bathing spaces there.
Sure.
So you can see just next to the there's a bath written, right?
Yeah.
So you can see there's a urinal and the bidet is placed.
Sure.
And below there's a
bathtub.
A bathtub is there. And again, you can see there's a color demarcation in terms of the flooring. So that means,
yeah.
So the color demarcation is there, and you can see there's a one diagonal line is there. So that means there's a drop in the floor.
Okay.
So the bathtub area and the bathing area is the levels are not same. Not same. So there's a drop is there. Drop means either, again, in sectional drawing, we generally detail out that. It could be one tile drop. So that is this first tile and second tile. So there's a tile drop will be there. Otherwise, the level drop will be there. So sections we prepare. So in section, we'll list out everything.
What's the design?
And also at the same time, you can see the bidets and toilets are placed, and the bathtub area is placed. And also we have to prepare the plumbing layout also.
Of course.
The floor, trap, everything. So we have to consult with the plumbing consultants.
Of course.
So they'll help you how you're going to manage whether you're going to recycle those waters. So again, water have three variety of waters. One is the potable water. That means you can drink. There's a gray water. So gray water is basically, you can't drink that water, but you can use that water for the cleaning, for the gardening. So that water is basically, for example, if you're taking a shower, if you're washing a clothes, if you're washing a kitchen appliances, so that water can be treated and used as a grey water for the cleaning and other thing, not for the utensils, not for clothes, not for showering. You can't drink that water. And apart from that, there's a black water. The black water is the toilet water. So that means you can't recycle. It will directly go to the drain. So there's a three different classification is there. So based on that, you can treat the way you want to, and you have to decide which one. Again, if you want to recycle, that means you have to place a recycling plant in the building.
Oh wow!
So that is the one thing. Then after that, just next to gym, you can see there's a big window is there on the right hand side.
So sorry to interrupt you. My dad, when he built his house, the architect didn't fuck up, but the engineer fucked up, and where the sewage line is. And the sewage line goes from the main front door, because it has an outside space, goes across and then into the building itself. For whatever reason, there's about a 2-arm hole sectionally between the main of between the outside and between the main front door and between the house interior front door. There's
a gap. So
there's a gap where you can lift it up, and that's where the drain is supposed to all connect and go out. The problem was that whoever did the installation didn't finish drilling the hole at that end to connect it.
And
so it just over a year because of how deep it is. And it just kept bottling up till it came out from the top. And then we had to call in a plumber who didn't understand what the hell was going on. Then we had to call in an engineer, and then we had to look at the floor plan, and then eventually they got one of those camera wires to check where the hole was, and then they discovered that the hole was never finished drilled.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So it's all about the execution. So that's why architects visit site and they check they supervise the site as well, not engineers. So engineers are there, site engineers are there, they're going to execute the project. But at the same time, for example, if I'm the architect, if I'm the boss, or if I have design, so every week or every 15 days or every month, we used to go. We have to follow up with the site, what is happening, send the pictures. So if it's not happening, we generally go and visit the site and check whatever is drawn is executed in a similar manner, or you have done some disaster or blunder. Otherwise, it will come to me, not to those engineers. The client will eat me, not them, because they don't know. Like, you are the architect, you have designed the house, so you are answerable, not them.
You're the head. You're in charge of the project.
In charge of the project. So these are the technicalities. You can see those white lines just next to the swimming pool.
Yeah.
So again, there's a two thing. Either these are the veranda.
Okay.
Or I think these are the veranda, or it is open, or might be it is closed based on the glass.
Sure.
And the pool is there behind, and also you can see there's a guest room is there. You can see the layout again. So from terrace, you can see there's a word written terrace. So you are entering directly to though it's a design blunder. Now, how? Just imagine you're entering and there's a blank wall is there. And just next to the blank wall, there's a door which is hitting the wall.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
So that means when you're entering, it is creating a negative notion to that space.
Sure.
Again, there's a hall is there which is left and which is very linear. It is again a very negative. Whenever we enter a space, it should be a welcoming. It should not obstruct the space.
Path. Okay.
So that was done very badly, actually. So might be that person could have placed the guest room along the way this wine cellar is there. So might be he can propose something along that path, so he could have the bigger hall or the proper open space. So that is, he wasted the space. At the same time, there's a very negative entry to the space.
I mean, I've never seen a hole in that big of a guest bathroom. That's also strange.
So I think the proportion problem is there, and the placement is not done properly. Then after that, you can see there's a guest room is there, and again suddenly when you're opening the door and suddenly you are seeing someone sleeping. But they could have placed the the bed on the other side and the study table into this side. So there's a privacy, or the sense of this thing should be there. That was the interior was done pretty wrong in this case as well.
Where's the main bed? Where's the master bedroom?
Master bedroom. I think this is the ground floor.
Yeah, so there must be second floor.
Must be on the first floor.
Yeah.
The kitchen is there, and again you can see in kitchen there's no window.
Yeah, you're right.
So
it is an open center design though, kitchen.
Yeah,
it's looking into the living room.
Again, you can't completely rely on the exhaust.
Sure. Well, one of my neighbors, he recently bought a property for 700,000 BD, apartment flat, and he was telling me that it was an open design kitchen, and he didn't want an open design kitchen, he wanted it closed. So, but to have it closed, that means he had to get a new vacuum pump.
Yeah.
In the kitchen, he has to get out much stronger. And so now he's stuck. I think he's been stuck now for over a year trying to get it fixed up.
Definitely.
It's life. But it's a very strange design because
very strange design.
Because the terrace doesn't seem like it has any kind of.
It's not exactly terrace. Actually, there's a wrong terminology is used. It's basically a veranda or the corridor.
Okay, so it's an outside terrace. Yeah. It's not indoors. Okay.
Terrace is basically a term we use for the thing which is open, the top floor. So it's basically a corridor or veranda.
And then you have the living room as well. But the living room also is connected to the outside, but it doesn't have a door.
But, again, there's a disaster. The living room is connected to the laundry.
Yeah.
So why you need a laundry? I think the laundry, they could have switched the wine cellar to this side and the laundry to the other side.
That makes a lot more sense to me as well.
Yeah. The wine cellar, I mean, you're serving someone right? Not
So you have to going from the wine cellar to the kitchen
yeah. For
to the
example,
dining.
your maid is washing a cloth and you're sitting with your guest, and the washing machine is making a noise.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you have a. I don't know why there's an exit from the hall to the right. Do you see that? And then you have another entrance, which is by the cars.
Yeah.
That's also very strange.
Very strange, yeah.
I don't know a lot of homes that have two different entry and exit points. It's generally just one.
Yeah, so might be, I think it's an incomplete plan, might be site level thing is missing, might be. But again, why I have to exit from the hall?
Absolutely. Well, Dan, look at the floor plan from Wikipedia. There's one right there. I think maybe that one is better designed. This is a little bit more traditional. Okay.
I think it was not, let's not check this one because I think this one is again
Not great.
full of blunder and not great. We can pick any other. Might be you can pick this one with the 3D one, or you can just use 2D 3D plans. Yeah, you can pick this one. So this is the 3D illustration.
Still loading.
3-dimensional illustration. Yeah.
Okay.
So again, we use software to build this. But where's the entry to the? Where's the entry? I'm so sorry, but there's no.
Oh, I see it. It's right next to the washing machine. Right next to the washing machine on the left.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
next to the washing machine.
It's very interesting design because you have. I guess that's a him and her closet. So they each have their separate closet, and the bathroom is connected to the closet. That's interesting.
That one, the right one, right?
Yeah.
Huh.
So you go from your bed, you go through your closet to then
So
use the bathroom.
that is the walking CB. So that means you are directly entering to that closet. If you take left, you can go to the bed.
Absolutely.
If you take right, you can go to the washroom.
Washroom.
Okay, that is still better. Again, the washing machine is placed. If you see the entry, washing machine is placed just at the entrance on the right side, the top corner. That is not very ideal thing. Might be he could have shifted this thing somewhere else. But again, you have guests and you're washing a clothes at the door.
It's very strange.
Very strange. Otherwise, this design is done.
But you have an open side kitchen, right?
Yeah, open side kitchen. But again, you can see the placement of those dining table that is just next to the entrance. For example, you are entering and suddenly you have dining table here. So it is not again ideal. This kind of placement you'll find in apartments in Jufair.
Yeah. Very compact.
Everything is very compact. So it is not ideal. So might be instead of using that balcony, so they could have converted that space as a dining area or something.
Oh yeah, I would agree with that. Definitely. Yeah,
Because
definitely.
it's not making sense. Suddenly you are entering and there's a obstruction is there.
Absolutely. Especially because it's not even a terrace,
Yeah, it's not even a terrace.
right? So it's just an open window.
Yeah, just an open window.
How bizarre. So if you would grade this from 10, what would you give it?
This one I can give 7.
7.
The previous one I can give 4.
4.
4 or 3.
So if what stage of this would be if I was a student of yours?
This is the final presentation, mostly the
Okay.
3D illustration. Final presentation, or you can say not at the concept stage, but after single line drawing, we generally propose and we tend to show to our professors or might be to a client, this is what your space will look like. Then after that, your client will comment, no, I don't want my dining table to be here. I don't want this thing to be here. Might be they can point out that washing machine as well. So these are the things that after that, they'll ask you to do some changes and you have to work on that. Then based on that, might be you come up with something, or might be you sometimes you agree with something, might be you sometimes you don't agree.
Sure.
So you can justify, might be if they have placed the washing machine somewhere there. So might be there's a plumbing layout is there. You can see there's a washroom is there.
Yeah.
And that pipeline is going through behind this washing machine. So that's why all the water will pump out through that channel. So this could be another logic or another.
Because as they also connect to the kitchen on the left.
You can see the kitchen and the washroom is placed just next to it, so that all the plumbing can go in one go. So this area is known as the wet area, and other space is the dry area. So dry area, we don't have to provide the flow traps or other things, so we don't have to consider. So different logic. I mean, the person, I mean, okay, I can criticize things, but somebody before criticizing something, students, they come and they present and their work.
And they give a reasoning.
Yeah, they give a reasoning, and then after that you question why you have done that. This is wrong. So might be they'll come up with some better logic than mine, and then I have to agree. So it's all about, we do criticize in architecture. Criticism is a very positive notion, not we consider as a negative.
Sure.
Then only the more you criticize your work, the more you criticize your work or others' work, so automatically they'll evolve. It's a process.
Absolutely. The more you clash, the more...
It's not clash. It's a sometimes, sometimes we don't agree with our students' opinion or their reasoning. But, the students, the generation gap is there. Every 3 years there's another generation. So people are different. So you have to treat them very...
like having a dinner table in your bedroom.
Because they are in their cocoon. So you have to protect them, and you have to give them things in a very sophisticated manner. You can't just say, hey, this is wrong.
This is trash.
You can't say that. It's a trash. You can't say that.
So not like in the real world.
So real world, the thing is you have to feed them slowly and gradually about the criticism. So once during their final year, the last semester, they have to pick one project somewhere in Bahrain, whatever they have learned through in Bahrain or anywhere in India. For example, India, that is called thesis. Like engineering, they have dissertation. So they have a thesis. So they have to select one particular project, and they have to do the whole study, whole research, and they have to design and they have to present. For example, this time I'm taking a graduation project. So I have 16 students. So they have different projects. So the project research phase is already started what they want. So slowly and gradually, at the same time, next semester they'll present the design to the practicing architects, or we invite people, they'll be presenting to them, they'll criticize. So it's all about whatever they have learned, they have to execute. I'll be there as a moderator, I can guide them.
Sure.
But they have 1 year to complete that whole process, and they'll execute. And is a journey. So whatever they have learned throughout the semesters, throughout the 4 years, they have to translate the same thought process in the final year. And that is very technical. The project scale will be big. Might be somebody is designing a twinning or twisting tower. Somebody is designing a hotel. Somebody is designing an institute. Based on their understanding. For example, last semester, one student designed a resort in Hawar Island.
Okay.
So one of my students told me, she wanted to design a floating eco resort. Well, we are done with the reclaiming land. I want to design a restaurant, the resort. For example, if we want them in Duratul, Bahrain, that they can float and we can go there. If we want somewhere in Qatar, let's see, FIFA 2020 is happening. So the whole resort will float. I was like, okay, why not? Think about it.
And from your perspective, from the grading aspect, do you expect them to do a full model on hand to present it, or is it just a 2D design, or is it a 3D concept on paper?
No, for final submissions. So we do have checklist. We have. Before we start our semester, we share.
Give the expectations of it, obviously.
Yeah. So there's one booklet is there.
Yeah.
What exactly the project is. What exactly we are expecting, what you have to design, what is the grading
criteria,
the breakups, and then deadlines. They follow the deadlines. For example, 12 p.m. means 12 p.m.
Sure.
Not 12:01.
Sure. Do you get a lot of those students who are bad at submission?
No. The thing is, they have to submit everything else online. So automatically, if they're late, automatically the grade marks will be deducted.
Okay, so you don't have to even worry about that.
The thing is, architecture, the punctuality is very much important. You have to be punctual because your client is not going to wait. If not you, then someone
else. Absolutely.
So throughout the journey, you have to teach them how to be on time. That is the very key. That's why we have long working hours. We have sleepless night. So yes.
Well, the interesting thing in my university was that you got 10% deduction of your grade if you were late, but if you were late, that gave you 24 hours, meaning that you had to do a mental math in your head and saying, hey, you know what? Is it better if I deduct 10% from my grade, but it gives me an additional 24 hours to work on the piece. Do you get what I mean?
Okay, but
Or because it was always like a value judgment
value
for us.
judgment. But the thing is, here, as I told you, I mean, you asked, right?
Sure.
So they have to submit the flow plan. So every stage have different requirement. We don't ask everything in one go. Out of the blue, you can't come up, because design is a journey. It's a process. It's your baby. You have to nurture.
Yeah.
Right. So you can't just say, hey, professor, today's the semester, this is my submission. We don't accept. Nobody's
that radical.
No. So you have to go slow, one step. So throughout the semester, you have deadlines. You have to follow the deadlines. You have discussion sessions. You'll come, you'll discuss, you'll bring your work. So it's a one-on-one conversation, or one-on-one.
Sorry to interrupt you. Danny, what's going on? TV?
Oh, shit. I didn't notice.
All right, let's take a 2-minute break. Can I offer you anything, sir?
Coffee.
Yeah, I figured. 1, 2, 3, and we're back. Okay, so we were just talking about that you wanted to potentially do a podcast about architecture.
Yeah, podcast about architecture, because after graduation, as you asked, what was my thought. So I think students do get confused about what exactly they have to do. And architecture is not fixed domain like engineering. So there are people who are into dancing, who are into photography, who are into film, who are into set making, set design, city design. So many things are there. And though in the span of 7 years, my students, they are not just restricted to one particular domain. They have moved to the different domains. That is the one aspect. I mean, okay, you are done. There are students, there are people, they are done with their architecture. Might be they are forced by their parents, or they are forced by the students, or they don't have much choice. So they can explore themselves after their graduation. I think that could be a one platform, so that people can come and talk about their journey. What made you to think? That is the one aspect. Second thing, after graduation, people are not aware about what are the different requirements. For example, somebody want to join Columbia, somebody want to join UCL, somebody want to join somewhere else for their masters. They don't want to restrict themselves in their country. But the thing is, the finance is a major factor.
Do you not think that the show would work better? Because your aspect right now in explaining the show is on the body end of non-architects potentially wanting to be architects. While I think your modality of a show would be better if you invite famous architects and speak to them like an architect.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a whole different concept, because there's a lot of people who interview architects but aren't architects.
But the thing is, those podcasts are already available. Architects are talking to architects, and there. But the thing is, if I'm targeting, as you told me, if my target is layman, the budding people who want to pursue or who is confused about the architecture profession. So the kind of lingos, the kind of terminologies, the kind of thought process they're going to speak, they can speak about the buildings, they can speak about something. Might be they're not
understanding the concept.
And they'll not get it what exactly. I think there are people, I think it's better, because every time after the graduation, or when they are about to complete their graduation, they ask, so what should I do? I'm confused. There's so many, 50% of the students, they're still confused. They don't know what to do.
Well, Dan, can you look it up and tell me how many architect podcasts there are? I can't imagine that there's that many.
There's so many.
Maximum.
In India, so many podcasts, because it's a digital world now.
Yeah, but you know what the average amount of podcasts are in the world?
I don't know.
7. 7 episodes is the average number of podcasts.
Okay, but architects are talking about architects is different. But the thing is, what I feel, what my stakeholders need is different. And there's another thing, how to get into the different universities, not funding, without funding money from your side, how to avail the scholarship. Because there are students, they are in UCL, they have completed their UCL journey. So might be those people can come and they can help my target student, not only the India and Bahrain, as well as the UAE. Because why for education should be free. Why you have to pay money from your own pockets? Because there are people I know, they have spent a hell lot of money. They are still in debt. They're not, it's a long process, So I think, how to avail a free scholarship, how to avail a different organization. Because sometimes, for example, if I'm going for my master's, if I have been through my master's, or if I want to join some university, I don't know about the university. Might be that particular university or that particular institution is very famous, and not famous in terms of marketing, because you don't know the inside what is happening,
Sure.
So I think the direct contact, who's the direct contact? The student who either they're studying there
Okay.
or they have completed the study there.
Okay.
They are the main resource person who can give you the complete insight about that university, whether you should go or not.
But don't
and
you
if you want to go, like how to avail the scholarship, because there's so many tricks. Might be you don't know about those scholarships.
But I mean, in my personal opinion, content can be one of two things. It can be either entertaining or educational, and sometimes both.
True.
And if it's neither of those two, forget it. That's not going to work. That's why we're very casual in our show.
True.
That's why we try to be as entertaining as possible.
True.
We try to have some laughs. We try to be like, oh, that's interesting, because we want to entertain. When you're telling me your idea of your podcast, well, my concern is it's more educational than it is entertaining, which is fine. But then why are you structuring it as a podcast and not as a TED Talk? Do you know what I mean? Those are very different animals.
Yeah, TED Talk is like a journey.
Exactly.
But podcast is like a kind of guidance. Conversation. It's like, okay, it's not just, this is just a basic idea, because I never thought about that. You asked me, there's something is like ticking my mind, okay, because I'm
not trying to shit on your idea, by the way.
No. I'm not, in general conversation might be because you are doing this thing, you can help me, or might be you can help other way, because it's always to be interact with the people who have experience. They can give you the exact situation, exact pros and cons. It's not like, for example, if I'm thinking something, it's not possible it should be a perfect, It doesn't matter whether that will fit into the context as well. Might be people will not watch. People will not entertain.
I think there are I am in this personal belief is that the more people do podcasts, the better it is for podcasters.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The more accepted it is, the more widely known it is, the better the money is going to be in it. Right? That's my personal opinion.
True.
And so when you're telling me these ideas, I think you do have a market for it. I don't know how you would structure it correctly to hit your target audience, because you're talking about people who are either in their early 18s, 19s, maybe if they're before their university, if they're graduating, then they're around their 22, 23, something like that. So the structure of the show would have to be then very precise in targeting people who are then in the space of, going, hey, you know what, I have 1 year left till my graduation. I need to find a job. I need to do this. I need to do that. Sure. That's who you're then targeting. And then my thinking is then, how do you structure that as a show? Because you don't want to have that every episode is the same.
I got your point. So it should be a holistic approach instead of one conventional or one confined target group. Yeah, I got your point. So yeah, I agree with
because that. Otherwise, you only have to do it once and then khalas, do a TED Talk.
Definitely.
And then you're done, right?
Definitely.
But if you want to have something that's sustainable, you have to have new insights, new inputs. Having one episode, for example, so if you do a recording every week, which I would recommend, you'd have maybe 1 week or maybe once a month, if you have it over and over again, where you interview, for example, like a HR at a architecture firm, where they would talk about, look, this is what we're looking for
I got
grads.
your point, because the same monotonous thing, because there are people I know, they're doing a podcast in India. So what exactly they're doing, they're inviting architects to discuss their work. But again, why the hell I should
listen to that
and listen to him? Because that person is just self-blabbering, or might be just self-proclaimed, and they're still in their own cocoon. They're talking something, their own language. It is not benefiting me. So if it is benefiting, it should benefit in some or other way, then only I'll go and I'll listen. Because if you go to the YouTube and podcast, there's so many podcasts and so many YouTube contents are there. Now we are in a digital era. So yeah, I agree with you. It should not be a very monotonous.
The CEO of Disney, Bob Iger, he famously said there is more content than there are eyeballs, right? True. And so your content now has to be very, very niche and very precise in its appeal.
True.
The era of just doing a Joe Rogan show or something like that is kind of like over the hill. And then you have another bigger issue. Luckily, you're with India, especially if you speak Hindi, then you do have a very rising industry, rising nation and population who are interested in new forms of media.
Definitely.
In English, I see the wave kind of peaking now, right?
But again, the people prefer to watch or listen in their own language rather than.
Of course.
I mean, then only. I mean, people do connect themselves. For example, if you're conducting a podcast in Arabic, like though you have restricted or you have limited audience, but those audience will be completely dedicated to
fan
you.
base.
Right?
Yeah,
It will be a fan base, right? Instead of having a English channel or English podcast, if I conduct something in India, if it is a Hindi or Malayalam or Tamil or Kannada or Punjabi. So though I have a limited fan base or limited audience, but they'll be completely solely dedicated to.
I would agree with you, but I would put an asterisk because you have to remember all these services that you're pushing your content onto are all American firms, right? And American firms will always want to pick and choose the American counterparts to represent American firms, right? So the reason why Joe Rogan is so big, in my personal opinion, is because from an institutional perspective, Joe Rogan is the perfect image of what America wants the world to see. Big, tough guy,
so
fighter.
What if we can change the way we see? What if, I mean, there are different people are, I mean, countries are doing.
Sure.
So I think now we already, I mean, 1920s, there's a different world order, the new world order they proposed. So it's already 100 years. Now we have to think about the new world order.
No,
why we have to restrict to the old world order that was proposed by.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying in the next couple of years, you're going to see in the Middle East, I think, more and more service level providers are going to come out.
You can see Dubai.
Exactly. You've got Brave now here in Bahrain who are doing UFC fightings, right? And you're going to see a Netflix industry kind of Netflix service, but coming from Middle East. You'll see China's been doing it right now with TikTok, and they've been doing it with WeChat. You're going to see Asia following suit, and it's because they need to separate that space, because you can make it you can dodge the bullet as much as you want, but there how's the right word of using it? There is a lot of propaganda involved when it comes to high-level players. This is the truth.
Indeed, yeah.
This is the truth. And this is what my point was with Joe Rogan. You know, if the U.S. government didn't want Joe Rogan, if they didn't want that appeal to come out internationally, he would have been canceled a long time ago. You would never have even heard of his name. But because he has an American flag in the background, you know, but that's the whole thing.
That's the whole thing. But the thing is, the world is changing now.
Absolutely.
I mean, you can see the recent.
Russia right now is separating itself from the internet. India right now has been in long talks for a long time with Twitter.
Now, I mean, earlier in India we used to have the MasterCard and Visa card. Right? Now we have RuPay card. RuPay is like rupiah. Rupiah is like currency, right? So we have RuPay card. So we are clearing. So just because after this whole invasion, the whole event happened in Russia and this thing, so people are shifting. I mean, why we should follow Master and Visa card? So the new world order is coming. You can see the whole events which is happening. China is proposing their thing. Russia is proposing their thing. Now Russia, I mean, if you want to buy oil, you have to pay in rubles, or if you pay in the whole currency thing is changing. So I think the new world order is coming. So the America great days are gone. I think, or might be fading. It will fade after some time. It's another struggle.
Absolutely. I mean, while everyone shut down Russia, Russia's stock exchange was only still happening in China, right? And so
now you can see.
Pardon me, but this is the sad truth in it, and I think you're going to see this escalating and growing and growing and growing. I think the era of globalization is I'm not sure. This is the debate what we're going to have back. You know, hopefully we live long enough to see what will happen. Whether or not we will go further into globalization, like in the early 2000s and 90s, you know. Or if we're going to go backwards and it's going to be more of a fuel system where...
No. I mean, I must say Arab world is moving. I mean, I must, let's say, congratulate UAE and especially Dubai, the way he changed the perception of a most Muslim world in a global context. There's a time when people want to go to some other... They don't have much choice. They want to go to America and London and other places to chill and fun. Now, Dubai, I mean, everybody... I mean, if you go to India, if you ask any guy or any children from a rural area, they know there's a place called Dubai.
And it's supposed to be a lot of fun. Yeah.
And they want to go there.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, when a child rural India, if they are aware, so the way they have changed the perception, if you go to Dubai, you'll find the people from all nationality. They're not just restricted to the Asian or Arabs, but you can see the white people as well. So I think the white supremacy days are gone. I mean,
absolutely.
It's all about the money, you know. If
absolutely.
you have money, I mean, you can do whatever you want. But the thing is, if you put those money in a right direction and right thing, I mean, the kind of vision Dubai set for himself or for the all GCC nations and the way they are moving towards, whether you're talking about the NEOM, it's a masterpiece. I mean, the kind of vision, I mean, nobody can talk about the city who is vertical and all the transportation, everything is under the ground and nothing. It's just a linear city. And people will say, why linear city? But it's a new world order, you know, a new thought process. And people are doing, and the UAE have done a lot for the whole Muslim world, especially. The kind of vision, the kind of door they have opened and the perception they have changed. It's a good...
No, I'm with you. I mean, the stuff that MBS has managed to accomplish is unbelievable. I'm a huge fan of him, and I think that he's moving Saudi Arabia on completely the correct direction. You know, losing not being so dependent on oil and separating out.
You have to get out from that conventional methods.
Absolutely.
I mean, when you had oil, you were depending on oil, but now we have to change. So they are doing it perfect.
Yeah, I mean, U.S. has a large oil reserve, but they never were reliant on purely the oil, right? They use the oil mostly internally, and then they exported all kinds of services and goods, right? And that's what we see, and that's the right methodology. And that's when you're stuck with countries like Russia who you know, are not producing anything. They're great in primary sector. They have rare metals. They have rare resources, but they don't have any infrastructure in order to convert it into products. And so what happens is that you ship something out, and then you import it at 10x the cost back in.
Yeah.
That's insanity. That's purely insanity.
Yeah, definitely.
But I mean, a lot of places in Africa was like that. Nigeria, very famously, had a very an enormous amount of mines that they were exporting precious resources out and then importing it at a 10x back.
That's all. Yeah.
Yeah. But these things are changing. But before we finish the show, I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about the homogeny of architecture and how now when you open up Google Maps, you know, it doesn't matter what town or city you open up in, it seems almost like a copy-paste.
Yeah, it's all about the impact of globalization, you can say. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, if I see a building in okay, fine. Let me give you one example. When I was in India, so we had to conduct a summer studio in Dubai. So we had asked students, okay, let's go for the summer school there. There's another institution. So that institution, I don't want to name that institution. That institution have another branch in Dubai. They were like, okay, we'll go there. And we'll have a summer studio. So just raise your hand who all are willing to go. So there's no response. I asked why. They said, why we have to go to Dubai? It's better we can go to Gurgaon. The same fancy, the same building with a glass facade. There's no identity. There's no uniqueness. I mean, one student told me, so if I click a picture of
Skyline
of Gurgaon, and if I click a picture of Dubai, not the recognized one, but the normal one, you can't exactly differentiate. So if I have to go to, it's better you can take me somewhere where they have identity, you know. So again, the climatological aspect, I mean, though we are talking about sustainability, we are talking about the climate change, we are talking about everything. But at the same time, we are in a complete glass box. I mean, during summertime, we are just increasing, during winter time, we are increasing the temperature, and summertime, we are lowering the temperature. That's all. What else we are doing?
I understand.
And where's the identity? I mean, there's a time if I see, for example, if I see Bahrain-based building, I can say, okay, this is Bahrain. If I see the Burj Khalifa, only 1 or 2 or 3 unique buildings are there that is recognized. But there's a time, if you see Jeddah's architecture, if you see Bahraini's architecture, if you see bungalows of Bangalore, if you see colonial architecture in India, or the Indo-Saracenic architecture. In fact, when Britishers invaded or when Britishers came to India, so that time people were, India had a typical Indian architecture, but again, different contexts have a different, some of them have arches, some of them have different facade system, but all of them are climatically oriented. But when Britishers came, suddenly the colonial typical buildings, the colonial architecture from Bahrain popped up all over the India. But people were not very accepting to it. Then what they did, they inculcated the Indian element and the British element, and they'd come up with a new architecture vocabulary that is called Indo-Sasanic architecture. If you go to Chennai, the Madras, if you go to any other Kolkata, so you'll find there's an Indian touch is there, so that people can relate to it. When people can relate to it, then only do. When Britishers can do that time, why we are not doing right now? It's not about one country, it's about whole country. If you zoom in the picture, you can't exactly find where exactly you are. Seriously, it's completely glass.
I agree. I mean, this is, in my opinion, why Dubai has can you look up the image, the frame?
Yeah, Dubai have a frame. Yeah.
Yeah, the frame. So for people who are listening in audio, you can look it up, and we'll have it in the description. Otherwise, you can look it up on Google Images. It's called Dubai Frame. And
this is an identity. This is a landmark.
Exactly. This is in order to separate the skyline.
I'm not talking about these buildings. Right?
No. I understand, but the reason why I assume they built it was in order to create identity within a skyline. To create uniqueness and individuality.
But, okay, fine. Now this picture, if you crop that skyline which is behind,
sure,
you can just take the zoom in towards the left, and you can take that picture out.
I understand what you're saying.
And if you click the picture from Mumbai, if you click picture from Manhattan, if you click picture from there, and you can put the blur image, people can't exactly recognize where exactly it is.
No, I totally agree.
It's all fancy building, the glass facade, but I think we should understand that the Europe or the America have different climates. They have different climates.
Fair.
So it's perfectly okay to put the glass. So I generally, every time I ask my student, don't put glass everywhere. Where's the roots? Where's the Bahraini thing? So likewise for the India, if you go to the metropolitan city, you'll find the glass facade, but not all the cities are adopting, but mostly the IT park or MNCs. MNCs from UK, MNCs from USA, all the MNCs, they are coming, they're popping up, or they're migrating to India or Bangalore or Gurgaon. You'll find all the glass facade because they have...
Sorry, Dan, I'm going to have to ask you to go back onto Google Images. Sorry to interrupt you, but the reason I'm interrupting you is because I totally agree with where you're coming from. There was a period of time called Neo-Roman architecture, which was, these white pillars everywhere. Neo-Roman architecture. NEO.
So again, there's a different architecture movement.
So this was very popular in the 1800s in the US.
Yeah.
And which was a return to classicism.
Yeah.
And do you think, I would not be surprised if we will find a return to classicism in Europe, because for Europeans and for Americans, this is, the gold standard in mentality.
Again, you can see who ruled that area. So, for example, if you see all the colonial buildings in India, though Bahrain don't have, but if you go to Singapore, you'll find again the colonial thing. Or India, if you go to the metropolitan cities like Delhi, Bombay, because
can you look up colonial buildings in Delhi just for
or
our
in
audience?
India, you can just search
or
colonial
India
building. So if you search there, so you can find the same vocabulary was translated in every context. So you can see this. The first one is the Gateway of India. Again, they have some Indian elements added.
Incorporate to it, yeah.
Yeah, but after that, you can see there's a colonial buildings on the left that is from Kolkata. Then next to that, the European colonial architecture. That is the Victoria Memorial. Again, you can see that is a completely colonial.
I have to admit, though, it is very beautiful.
That is very beautiful. No doubt. I'm not denying it. It's not beautiful. But again, this is the thing. If you search the Rashtrapati Bhavan or President Palace, India.
No doubt the Raj Mahal, which is probably the most famous, iconic building in India prior to colonization, is also incredibly beautiful in a different manner, though.
So now, you can click any picture or you can click the first picture. Go to the first picture. Now you can see this architecture. What I want to tell you, I mean, how Britishers have inculcated. This was done by the Louis I. Kahn, the guy who designed the New Delhi. Okay, so you can see the dome. So that dome is not exactly the first picture on the top of it, below the flag. The dome is, inspiration is taken from the Buddhist viharas, stupa.
Okay.
So there's a stupa, that is a Buddhist architecture that is prevalent in India. So that dome is introduced or translated from there. Then after that, you can see other picture. Likewise, those chhajjas, those jharokas are there, the chhatris. Do you know? Okay, how to say?
The pillars.
Yeah, the small.
The buildings on the square roofs. You mean on?
On the top.
On the top. Okay.
Yeah, on the top. So that is taken from the typical Rajasthani and the Mughal architecture that was prevalent. That is already there. So you can see the whole Rashtrapati Bhavan is not exactly the replica of typical colonial architecture, but it is merged with the different elements, like all the buildings which is available in India, because that is the President Palace. By the time that was Viceroy's house. Okay. So they have inculcated all the small elements which is prevalent in India, or that is famous in India by the time in 1911. And the architect designed this building. So it is representing the whole India. It is not completely European thing, but it has some implications. So for example,
pillars, for example, is very standout.
Yeah, that is the colonial thing. Can you click on the second picture? Yeah, that one. Can you zoom in a bit? So now you can see the elements or the
windows.
Yeah, not window, the entry gate.
Oh, of course.
This entry gate, if you see any Mughal architecture, whether in Agra or Delhi, that is inspired from there. But they have trifolic arches, but in this case, that is the completely thing. And the material they have used the red sandstone, that is very much prevalent in
that area.
Mughal architecture.
Okay.
Likewise, the other sandstone. The same, in this case, you can see those chhatris, the small dome right and left. That is again on the top, just next to the dome. The small domes are there. That is again inspired from the typical Rajasthani or Rajputana architecture in the Mughal architecture. So the elements they have used in the building, they have inculcated all the small elements are collected all the way, and they have translated that thing.
Because it's interesting that you brought up the dome part, because I might be mistaken since I'm not an expert in architecture, such as yourself, Professor, but I thought that the original dome first built was in England in the 17 or 1600 under the church. Can you double check that for me? First dome building?
I think it's Pantheon.
It's Pantheon or Rome?
I think. I'm not sure.
I'm not.
Yeah, it's Pantheon. Yeah, this one.
The Pantheon.
Yeah, the Pantheon.
So I remember there. Can you type in first dome building, London? Because I watched a documentary over it, and I don't remember what made it so special. Maybe because of how it was built at the time. Not Millennium Dome, no. It was from the church. I forgot the name of the church.
St. Paul's Cathedral?
Yeah, St. Paul's Cathedral. I remember watching a documentary about St. Paul's Cathedral. And I don't know why the dome was special, but I'll have to find it out for you. Showing like the Roman Pantheon, St. Paul's one of the biggest domes in the world, is blah blah blah, scale hundreds of feet on top of the desk. Don't forget spans on top. I don't know why it was so special, but I remember. I'll try to find the documentary and I'll share it with you.
So it might be a construction technique they have used.
Maybe.
The thing is, if you see the domes, which is, the domes was brought to India by Persians. Persians, Turks, Mughals, Mongols, when they invaded India, they brought their architecture as well. So in India, you'll find double domes.
Well, the Greeks went all the way to Rome. Alexander the Great.
Yeah, they went. But the thing is,
he died near India. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, he never invaded or ruled like Britishers or Mughals ruled around 500, 600.
He did invade Egypt, and he even became a pharaoh.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know till recently.
Even I just got to know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, Alexander the Great became a pharaoh.
Alexander was famous. So what I was saying, yeah, the domes. So domes have different vocabulary you'll find in India. So all the mosque and everything, they have double dome because of the climate. So there's an interior dome, which is just a false dome. So from inside you can see the normal doors, but from the top you can see this thing. So there's a small windows are there because the dome have some sort of hot air so that cool air can just...
Of course, for insulation and...
insulation. At the same time, there's the aesthetic purpose is there, and the geometric purpose is there, and acoustic, because you are praying inside the mosque, so you need the acoustic as well. So just imagine what our ancestors have done long back.
So what do you believe about all these old temples that are coming now under, sadly, ruin in India? And some of them are even being demolished and then being brought across the continent. There's a US guy who took apart an entire temple in India and then rebuilt it in his home, which is, I don't know, I mean,
so that is,
what do you even do with that?
That is a part of the conservation architecture. That is, I mean, after your graduation, you can offer the conservation. So what they do, basically, I mean, prior to that, I mean, there are different authors or different people, they have documented the building, they have listed the building. For example, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, he documented all the mosques and everything in Delhi, all the mosques, all the old structures, Islamic architecture that was there or that is there in Delhi. So there's a book is there. So, I mean, if you flip and you can just check out whether those monuments are there or not. So likewise for conservation architecture, what they do, they just, if they have some reference images, so likewise they just jot down, they just try to identify the ruins and they number it. Then after that they place this thing and they try to, they don't add anything from their side, but they try to manage. So it's okay. That is, I mean, there's so many temples and so many heritage structures that was the retained, or you can say the restored by the different heritage or the conservation architects in India. Not only India, there's other places as well.
Oh, wonderful. No, wonderful.
So two people. One is the people, there's an archaeological survey of India, there's an archaeologist, and there's a conservation architects. Conservation architects can construct the building, and archaeologists can read those tiny details and all those things and say, okay, this element from there, this element from there, this element from there. So there's again, architecture is all about a coordination and a process. So, yeah.
Beautiful. Well, before we end the show, is there anything you'd like to add, by the way?
I'm clueless. Okay, the thing is, what I can say about life, I mean, generally students or the young generation, as you asked me, they just confuse, or sometimes, these days we are talking about the mental health. These days we are talking about so many things. People just get stressed so easily. Sometimes they compare themselves with some other students. But they should understand that every person have different journey. Your journey is different, my journey is different. Might be, right now I'm sitting in Bahrain, so might be my colleague is sitting somewhere in India, or might be my colleague is ahead of me and they're sitting somewhere in USA. So everybody have different struggle and different journey. So never compare, because you are precious. You have different journey. Your destiny is different, others' destiny is different. And we do compare. Sometimes, money is not everything. There's a very famous reel like, Habibi, if you have money, come to Dubai if you want to have a luxury. But money is not. But the thing is how much you are satisfied with your life. That is important. And always stick to your roots, because sometimes we just got disconnected from our roots, whether in daily life or in architecture or non-architecture thing. We just forget our roots. When you don't have your roots, then where's your identity? You are no one. You are just another person. A person who belongs to the lower strata, a person who, if you see all the successful people, everybody is still connected to your roots. So always stick to your roots. You have your roots, and that is your identity. That is very much required. People don't get it, and people do think, okay, if you have money, or if you have power, you can conquer the whole world. But the thing is, you should understand the power. People who have power, they can't even walk on the street unguarded. So if you're so, what is the point of having a power? You can't walk.
I say that a lot of times to people who say, I really wish I was this famous or this rich or this stuff or this stuff. I always ask them, I say, listen, do you really think that Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos is happy? Do you really think that they like having to walk
happiness,
around?
Yeah, it's happiness. It's about satisfaction. How satisfied you are life with it. For example, I'm stick to yours. Burger, pizza, and other thing can't give me a satisfaction unless I'll have something like rice, dal, and some veggies
absolutely.
from my thing. That will give me more satisfaction. Doesn't matter. I roam around here and there.
Sure.
Sometimes by the end of the day, I prefer to sit on the floor and I want to eat on the floor because that's my route. That is my tradition. So sitting in a dining table, that is again colonial mindset. That's not my roots. So, people do think about the power or money. The thing is, if you have money, are you sure you're happy?
No, that's what I was trying to say, is that those people have, Jeff Bezos is not able to go to the bathroom by himself, right? He has like a whole team.
So if you have power, you are a powerful person of this country, but you can't walk unguarded
or
in your
kids,
country.
Not even your kids, not even your family.
No one. Then what is the point of having that power? Money?
Isn't that crazy?
Isn't it crazy? Like people do talk about, okay, if I have money, I'll be more happy. But the thing is, if you go on a street, I'm not talking about Bahrain because I don't see any poor people here. But if you go in India, you don't find people or the poor people or the rich people, they're laughing or they're happy. But the thing is, if you go on a street, you'll find people, though are poor, they don't have food to eat. But the thing is, they're happy. The kids are dancing on the street. That is the happiness. Not sitting in a very cozy or like a glass box with full AC, eating some garbage or junk food or watching a TV.
No, I agree with you.
Where is the happiness? Are you happy from inside?
I agree with you. A lot of people just live in cages. It's very strange.
Yeah, we live in a cages. It's not about a lot of people. We also belong to the same. We live in a cages. Where's the happiness? So understand who you are, where's your roots, and just be happy. Live humbly, talk to humbly. Live simply.
Me and Dan even talked about it. We said, in a dream world, we would be doing the show outside.
Yeah.
Right? But it's not possible, sadly.
Life is fragile. Live your life the way you want to. Not what social media. Social media is myth. Social media is myth. Sometimes, one fine day, I'll give you one example. In India, I was taking one architecture and journalism subject. And I posted one video. That was the old video from somewhere. And I just tagged this location and I added a music. It was a normal story. And by mistake, I was late in that class, like 5 minutes late. My students thought, okay, I think I'm not going to take class because I'm holidaying somewhere else. That is a myth. The thing is, don't follow what social media or Instagram.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Is creating a memory. It's all myth. Then the moment I entered, they were like, "Are you here?" We thought, who told you? Just because I posted a video, it doesn't mean I'm roaming survey. It's like that's what I wanted to teach you, how social media have impacted your life and our life. Because we are ready to believe whatever people are projecting.
By the way, I live a life now that every day I delete my Instagram and TikTok and all this app, and every day I re-download it because I only want to use it for when I have to check a message, and I try to only look at it 3 or 2 times a day.
Yeah.
So I'm constantly deleting it and re-downloading it because I know I can't control myself to not find myself going like, oh, you know what, I have 5 minutes, let me check what's going on. Because that 5 minutes turns very quickly into half an hour, into an hour.
So, we live in a world that was framed by someone else, and we got envy. We like, oh, I want to live that life. I'm not happy.
Which isn't a real life anyways.
Which is not a real life. But the thing is, at the same time, the kind of life you're projecting or the kind of life I have, might be there a hell lot of people, n number of people who are in the street, they see, okay, this guy or you, they'll say, okay, I want to live their life, but we are not happy with their life because it's all fake.
But what you're also seeing is only the best part.
That's best part.
Right? You're not seeing like...
So now what I am trying to say, the journey,
sure,
and the process. So don't compare yourself with someone else. Don't just got fascinated by someone's story. Might be it's a fake.
I agree. No, it's like, those holiday pictures, because it's always, everyone who looks at it goes, oh, beautiful beach, whatever, but they don't see like the whole 2-hour trip to get there, the 8-hour flight.
That's perfectly all
the
right.
airport.
That is just one picture, but the rest of the day he was just
struggling
on his boat.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. But for whatever reason, people have this weird mentality. They
It's not mentality. This is what the whole social media impacted people's lives. So don't compare yourself with anybody else. Just live your life the way you are and be happy. If you are happy, your parents are happy. If you have a spouse or your children, they are happy. That is enough.
It is so weird because I see it in my family that we won't even talk to each other. We'll just eat dinner and stare at a phone, which I find so bizarre. Because why are we even like in the same room together? I mean,
then what is the point of staying? And second thing, we do compare. Okay, that person is wearing Zara, another person is wearing this thing. But might be that person don't have a responsibility. Might be
Sure.
if you're a people, you have a family to feed.
Sure.
If you're not able to feed your family, then what is the point of wearing a Zara or Gucci or Armani?
Sure. No, I agree.
So that is again an impact of social media. That person is wearing this, that person. I mean, if you see in India, like actors, 3 meetings they are attending, 3 days dress they are changing, and that is somehow impacted in a negative way.
Well, let me.
People are dreaming about that.
Let me ask you this before we come to a close. We have an actress coming on to the show soon. I'm not going to say the name. That's going to be a surprise. We briefly talked about colonization with her. I forgot the name of the book, the one that everyone is reading. You know, the picture with a guy on a horse. Can you look up colonization book, Dan? I forgot the name of the book.
Okay.
And so my argument to her is from Milton Friedman, who said that the living standards of India, colonization India book maybe. That's the one. The End of Darkness.
The Era of Darkness.
The Era of Darkness. Sorry.
Shashi Tharoor, yeah. He's very famous.
Every asshole I know has read this book.
Why? Because, whenever he's posting or whenever he's tweeting something,
Sure.
He's using one English vocabulary or
Sure.
one English one, and everybody are forced to open a Google dictionary to understand that word.
Sure.
That is the power. I mean, he's wow.
Because the reason I bring this up is
You should watch his video. It's available. I mean, the way he slammed the British Parliament.
I remember watching it. There was a debate very famously between some British Parliament members and with Tharoor. I remember watching it, but the reason I'm bringing this up is that Milton Friedman famously, and I quote him saying, "It took 40 years for India post-colonization to have the same living standards as with colonization." Where does that put that?
Okay.
Where do we go with that? Where do we?
Okay, can you repeat the question? Can you?
Milton Friedman, and I quote, said, "It took 40 years for post-colonization India to have the same living standards as under the colonization of India, as under British rule."
Might be.
Not me, dude. Come on.
Might be because there are two reasons. First of all, Britishers we had a partition.
Sure.
So we split it into 3 different, the East Pakistan, West Pakistan and India. First thing. Second thing, you looted everything from us. Mm-hmm. There's a time when they used to call, we had a hell lot of money. Yeah. Yeah, you can check the 1 rupees was much better than the dollar.
To what, like 100 years ago before colonization?
Before, during 1947. It was the
1947.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was independence was 1948, no?
So 47.
1947. Okay.
So you looted everything from us, from our crown to our diamond, our jewelries, everything. So obviously.
Yeah, but there was also a lot of infrastructure and technology brought,
But
it's not like a give. It's a give or take on the scale, right?
It's a give and take, but that give, whatever you have given to us during our colonization, it was limited to the elite strata of people.
Sure.
But post independence, the challenge with our prime minister was to first of all to manage the partition. People were migrating. Muslims were migrating to Pakistan. Hindus were migrating to India.
Sure.
So the migration was there. We are left with no money.
Okay.
We are left with no other things. This, by the time we had nothing. You took everything from us, and by the time the poverty was at peak because of colonization, the post-British era, and the challenge was with the Prime Minister to tackle the whole thing. The British's agenda was to tackle the elite society.
Sure.
But when you are a democratic country, so you can't just talk about the elite society.
Sure.
You have to talk about the poor as well.
Okay.
So obviously we have to struggle, and we had struggled a lot. And 47, then after that 97 we have a Indo-China war. Then we have a India-Pakistan war. So just after, this thing, after 1967, after partition, we've been through the wars as well. We were struggling with the droughts. We had to take care of our people. So it was a misery. It was a bizarre or horrible situation for India by the time.
I'm very fascinated by this because I will hound on this a little bit deeper. The argument still stands. Under British rule, India. The argument obviously is the colonization. Has it been more good than bad? That's usually the main debate on this topic. I'm going to play devil's advocate on here. Prior to the colonization, I think we can both admit that colonization brought roads, brought traffic, brought ports. The counter argument is always, yes, they built all these things to take resources out of India. That's fine, right? But somehow has to be developed. Something has to be paid for to do the development, right? It has to be a give or take on these issues, right?
Sure. Okay, it's not just Britishers. There's a different princely states was there. So, for example, the Nizams of Hyderabad.
Yeah.
Right. So if you go there, the Nizams of Hyderabad was very rich by the time.
They were mostly brought to Oxford or Cambridge for education.
Yeah, so all the princely states. So that is what, the kind of development Hyderabad had. Though the Nizam was not under the Britishers, that was allied to the Britishers. So if you see the Lucknow, if you see the kind of architecture or this thing, the Nawabs have done. Or if you see the Mughals have done to this country, or you can say the princely states of Rajputana. So if you rule, if you own the world because you belong to that soil. So obviously, if your state of your princely state will flourish, so the Britishers, they just came and they took everything.
See, this is the interesting part because I'm not prescribed on that belief that the British just came and took everything. I mean, technology and industry was brought also into the country. The East India Trading Company, regardless of your perception of how evil it was, it still brought in jobs and economic value, right?
So it was not job; it was more like a torture for Indians. They treated the people from the lower strata as a slave.
Yeah, but
so it was not job. Now we are talking about the term job, but that time it was more.
But the class system in India wasn't brought in by the British.
Not class system.
So don't even
No, the class system was brought by Britishers. I have to check, but the caste system was there. Caste system is different, and the class system is different.
Sure, but you always
the caste system is still existing.
Yeah, but absolutely. I mean, from untouchables to Jamars to Jots,
it's already there. It's there. It's still there. Forget about 40. We have completed 70 years, 75 years this year. It's still there.
And it will keep still being there because as long as
it will be there.
As long as there's value in the system will keep existing.
People have different mentality. They don't want. Recently the child got killed because he touched the upper class water pot and he wanted to drink the water. And they killed, and the guy was hardly 8 or 9 years old.
Sure, but these kind of crazy stories you hear in India all the time. You have students who commit suicide based on results for examination. You have a kid who recently killed his friend so he doesn't have to go to school.
Okay, I don't know about, but that's suicide.
Am I right or am I wrong?
Yeah.
Is it? Okay, I don't know about that, but the suicide.
There was a guy who just built a home on his tree so he doesn't have to talk to his wife.
Yeah.
Oh, that is there. I read about that.
There's
Yeah, that I read. But the thing is, the suicide is very common in India. Why? Because the problem with the Indian society or Indian parents, that is a severe parent still there. There's so many movies. There like 3 Idiots. You should watch that movie by Amir Khan. It was well done. But the thing is, the problem with the Indian parents, they always compare the kids with other kids.
Sure.
So though when I was there, my aunt used to compare his son with my son. Okay, I scored this much, that guy scored much. She's still, my wife is this, her wife is this. So it's still there. The comparison is there, and sometimes it will traumatize you, or sometimes it will give you that sort of thing. And the IIT, the Indian Institute of Technology, that is one of the finest technical institution in India. So, I mean, if you can crack that exam, you'll get all the top-notch IITs in India, and you can easily secure a place. I mean, that is the thing, the medical. So people do compare, and if you're not able to crack those exams, if you're not able to get into that place, so not parents but the neighbors or the people, they used to taunt you. So it will give you kind of depression. That is the problem with the Indian society and the Indian parenting and the society. But the thing is, for example, if I'll say I don't want to get married, my parents will not listen me. Why? The question, the responsibility, what if you'll not get married? What other people will say? What the society will say? What that aunt will say? I mean, society. You are a part of society. When you're craving about someone else's child, you're part of that society. So obviously that society will talk. Those people will talk about me if I'll not. So they'll not ask why. The question is what other will say, what other will follow, what other will do. That is the problem with Indian society. From north to south, east to west, it's common.
But I will be the devil's advocate again here. Don't you not feel that the competition to this high degree has allowed India's top to be the top of the world?
That is fine.
Microsoft CEO, Indian.
All
Google CEOs, Indian.
All.
Right? Mark Zuckerberg is the only exception really with Facebook on Meta, but his chief of staff is also Indian. So
I got your point. I got your point, but you should understand that this is my hand and these are my 5 fingers, and all of them are not in same shape, same size, same length. So every child is unique. Every child have a different thought process, and every child have different thought process to approach something. You can't just ask. Without asking, they enrolled me for PCM. I mean, after my 10th, they asked me, okay, you'll study the science, not arts or commerce. Though I'm from a typical business family, they forced me because I got good score in 10. Then after that, plus 2, the intermediate, the plus 2, 10 plus 2 was big struggle for me. Because I was from a Hindi medium. I was forced to an English medium institution, and that to a physics, chemistry, math. And I was not literally prepared, and I scored pretty less. And by the time after that, they want me to be an engineer, but I don't want to be an engineer. Why should we? I mean, they'll not ask you what do you want to be. They're like, you'll be a doctor or engineer. So it's not possible for everybody to
be doctors and engineers.
To be a doctor, engineer, because might be then one fine day I was struggling literally. I took a year break. I was struggling. What should I do? They want me to be an engineer. Then I inquired. That time internet was not there. It was not approachable. It was there. You have to go to cafeteria, the internet.
This is the early 90s, I assume.
Not early 90s, in 2005.
2005, okay. So late 90s, 2005.
Yeah. So then I had a word with my cousin. I was like, what should I do? And they're like, I can't. I don't think so. I can be an engineer because I'm not inclined towards it. What should I do? I wanted to pursue BBA and MBA, and I wanted to do something related to the business because my family is, we have a family business. Everybody, all the cousins and everybody is into business. Then my cousin told me, why don't you opt for architecture?
Okay.
Like, what exactly architecture is? They're like, you have to design a building, but you are not a civil engineer. Then he was pursuing architecture by the time. They were like, okay. Then I went there, I applied. I never told my parents, like, I'm applying for architecture as well because, and my uncle.
Too much fighting.
Too much fighting, too much unnecessary arguments. There's no point. Then obviously engineering, I never got a chance to clear the IITs. Then I get into architecture. And then, it's engineering. It is a part of College of Engineering I wanted to be. And then we were like, what BR, why you wanted to do architecture? I was like, I wanted to do architecture. When I explored about architecture, I learned a lot about this thing. I was like, I wanted to be an architect. I don't want to be an engineer or civil engineer or chemical engineer, mechanical engineer. Why? Because of the society, what society will say. When it doesn't, I don't care.
Hindsight 2020, happy?
I'm very much happy. I'm very happy.
Well,
I mean, that was the right decision, and that was the right
thing. The right thing. Perfect. Well, dude, it was a pleasure having you on.
Yeah, likewise.
I mean, sorry to keep it so short, but dude, hopefully have you on again in the future.
Yeah.